Anybody online, if you're listening, if you have issues with the audio, please get back in touch with us. Any other questions about unassigned revenue? Okay. Council, so this is our first big department. 5K over budget, 8K higher in per diems and benefits, 3K higher in travel, 6K lower no seniors night, and less donations.
I think it's working this one.
Okay.
I got a question, Jen. Like, cause that 8K higher in per diems and benefits, I don't think we did any more travel than we used to do.
No, I'll show you that full breakdown with the council remuneration report.
Okay.
We also took 2 extra counselors to complement.
Yeah, but I think that would have been budgeted for too, though.
Okay, budget. We decreased by 9%, so we're $10,500. And that's decreases in travel and donations. Take your time, look through it. This is council's budget, so the whole thing's council's budget, but this is actually your budget, your department.
The one big thing in training as well was your training for Grant Thornton that was rolled over to this year, we put it in unextended, so basically it's charged to last year and you'll get to see that this year.
Thanks, Stacey. Any other questions? Take your time. All right, got time to look, ask questions.
So last year, the budget was $6,000 for donations. Now it's $3,500 this year.
We've taken out, one of the big ones would be the family day donation, we donate to the ski help.
Okay.
Oh, you took it out of there? Okay, where did you move it to?
Took it out.
Well, there's no snow this year.
Oh, no snow.
The difference here from when we get to like further on in the budget, we talk about like, you know, this was an actual donation, we were giving the ski help money to cover the cost.
Right,
Whereas everything else we just waive fees, so we didn't see it in here.
okay.
So that's what's left to make up the 3,500. Bursaries and corsages to the high school, Legion service recognition, Schreiber Heritage Days, and 500 to the waterfront trail.
What's the Legion service recognition then?
Donation to the book.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take out a 4-page ad.
Yeah. Okay.
Waterfront trail, is that the cast iron trail?
So,
No,
no,
no, the waterfront trail is, actually it runs from Sault Ste. Marie to Thunder Bay.
That's where all the signs are up around, yeah, okay.
The Voyager Trail is the cast out.
Okay, so you have the seniors in there this year, hopefully you can do something for them. Okay.
We just highlight why the travel, run why the travel was. Why do we anticipate it's a lot less this year?
we're going to less conferences again, that'll be part of your remuneration report, I'll show you what you did last year.
Oh, that's good.
That's members going to 2 different
Yeah.
offices as well too, so.
Yeah.
To drop down to the mayor, one council.
Yeah.
So.
I assume, but just one of us.
And unfortunately, I can't get on the show drive from down here and bring up that actual budget
Oh, that's
base.
fine.
We know if I can take a break, if you guys wanna see the actual travel budget, I'll bring it up.
Oh, that's good.
Any other questions on that?
No, I'm good.
Then we have the seniors night back in there.
What was the senior activities? What's that typically look like?
It's usually one night per week.
Oh, like the dinner and all that?
The
We haven't
dinner
done
and
in a while?
that, we haven't done that
Yeah.
in about 4 years now.
Yeah,
We stopped it because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We were supposed to redo it again this year, we just never.
Just never did, so we have to decide what we're gonna do for that.
Yeah, I mean, that may be something, since we haven't done it in 4 years, not that we shouldn't do something, but it might be a good time to evaluate what we do. Yeah, it's an opportunity. Whether we turn it into full volunteer appreciation or just seniors banquet. This would be a good time to decide, I think. Only because I know we've talked about appreciating volunteers in the past, and former end of the term of the former council talked about it and did a couple things, but I don't know if that's a priority for us or not.
Good with that?
Sure.
I'm good with it.
No other questions, we'll move on. Administration. Budget actual, and that's year to date, 52K over budget, 58K higher on legal fees, 8K lower on wages and benefits. Budget increased by 9% or 84,000. 66 of that increase is wages and benefits, and that's 4.25 increase in salary and benefits. 25K increase in legal fees, based on August trending last year. Landfill is still out there. 10K decrease in audit fees, office equipment, postage supplies, etc.
So three major things that will highlight projects, I guess, coming out of the year would be the rest of the rec master plan that'll be coming this year. The asset management plan, we have to update it by July 1st for levels of service. Levels of service. And then the strat plan, and they're all gonna be funded from various reserves that we'll see in the next meeting.
The rec master plan is fully funded.
Yep, everything's fully funded.
Decrease in travel, obviously. Part of that is just literally we have a tough year ahead of us, so like kind of one example I can think of, I'm not going to the MCTO annual in June, so that's a pretty expensive conference.
You'll see that theme throughout too. The biggest things that were true was travel and training for sure. So then, if there's no further question, which will be part of the next slide, but I'll highlight here, the August Sullivan Golf Course has requested the full funds committee. Audit services, we should see a slight decrease to the trailing of last year. You'll see that decrease a little bit every year, is my intention. This number won't be fine unless I it's adjusted at year end of the audit.
Danny, can you go up just a little bit under, hold it right there, $84,733 software maintenance, like versus 26,000 last year, which
Last year, this year, here's the breakdown of the software maintenance, the biggest thing is the info pros, we moved in here. Last time it was in travel and training, now we put it to software. And it will be funded. And then also there's the website redesign that will be funded. That's what's driving that each year.
It was time for that too.
And we're gonna line up above. Based on budget last year, the same budget this year, but just to show you what would be an upgrade for that. Miscellaneous upgrades to more computers, printer scanners. Yes, this year, this is the big one. And this with the whole budget. Increase that by 25,000 for this year.
yeah, the Eagles killing us, what are you gonna do, right?
We have a few files that are outstanding that are costing significant amounts.
Yes. Okay. So we can get them wrapped up.
Anything else, administration?
What's electrical power, $13,000, like,
It's just an allocation every year to take some, electricity of this building. Capacity, so there's no real net effect here.
Any on the insurance, is that because we reallocated some to council? Was it recognized here before?
No, this is high issue because a portion of the insurance for the deductible for the water treatment. This would have been if we didn't have that lightning strike, like 70,000 last year.
That's right.
If I'm gonna update the 2024 actuals right now, I put that outside this line, I show the 125,000 that we paid for insurance this year, pass that journal entry at the end of the year, allocating out to our department.
Danny, all the zeros there, is that just because you haven't got the numbers, or there's nothing,
Nothing there.
nothing there?
Accounts that aren't used, we don't need to use the US exchange rate or low interest charges, but this is all very intricately tied to one report out of Adam, so everything has to be there. If I hide all those things, then mistakes get made, so I show them.
It's good?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I am.
This is typically where we talk about the golf course, or do you want to fire?
Might as well do one first, third time.
Okay, so 40,000 donation 2023, 2,300 in public works assistance, that's in kind. Which we were told to track for the golf courses, for all 80 groups, really, that we help around town drags, so we can keep track of that. 2024 request remains the same, 40K for operational assistance. I haven't, I spoke with Bobby yesterday very briefly, he was supposed to send me an email, but I haven't got anything yet, so, but that's my understanding, is it's standing where it is.
Okay, have they shown us, anything from their last year's operation, like, or finances?
Yeah, they were shared with us at one point.
Okay.
They typically come and make a presentation to council as well too, so. Because we are in 10 right now, at this point, it's not to pass budget until April, there is time for the golf course to do that, if council so desires.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to, I'd like to see it. Well, I'm not looking for a bombshell in there somewhere, but I just think it'd be a good idea to have it. You know, here's the thing, you could say no. Save yourself 40,000, but you're probably gonna, the golf course is gonna look a lot different. And this is not the year to do that, even though most people might want to save that money. Because banking on, this is my opinion, by the way, nobody else, but banking on finding either a new owner or an existing owner, God forbid, start the mill back up, they're gonna have to do some recruiting, and that's a very valuable tool when you recruit it. When you go look for somebody, you say, well, you know, what do you do? What can you do in Terrace Bay? Well, we have a good golf course, we have the recreation facility. So I don't wanna kill something when we might need it for recruiting for that place.
Not to mention recruiting, we're still looking for 2 family doctors in our region.
Yeah,
and
so,
things, so.
My feeling only, guys, is I think 40,000 is a pretty darn good investment. That's my feeling on
John,
Just to reiterate again, because you're waiting to pass your budget, we'll have a pretty good indication of what the mill's intent is. Before we end up passing our final budget, hopefully, we may need to come back and make cuts.
Yeah, you're right.
And this may be one that the administration would recommend, so
Yeah.
just keeping you advised of that.
Yeah.
It's not our intent to only look at this, but we would go back and make the cuts necessary, okay?
I would make the suggestion that if we do have a golf course come in to present, we ask them what their golf course would look like without
Yeah.
$40,000.
Really good idea, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
$140,000,
What would your operation look like?
What would your operation look like?
Probably a very smart idea, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess to John's point, come April, we don't know for sure. This whole budget might look 100% different.
Anything else on golf course?
Yeah.
No. It's also a time where we typically come into energy. Okay, I can bring it up. While he's bringing it up, budget to actual, we're on heating oil right now.
Mhm.
17 over budget due to issue of the cultural center propane boiler. Budget we decreased by 17 due to removal of federal carbon tax on heating oil.
Okay.
John, that boiler in the cultural center, wasn't that brand new?
Yeah, issues with the controls, not mistaken, or?
We don't exactly know. It seems to struggle.
Who sold it?
That company's name,
Oh, no.
oh, it's 3 letters. No,
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that we bought a package, right? We paid for an install and it's not running.
We'll see when we get to the cultural center too, but there's a lot of maintenance on that building as well.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get some. When the old oil boiler is more reliable, that's not good. I don't know what you do when we have to get to the bottom of it.
we believe that the problem has been addressed.
Okay.
Any other questions on heating oil?
This building's heating oil too, right?
This building is a combination of heating oil and
Do
electricity.
you use the electric too on the electric boilers? Yeah, okay.
And you'll see there's an issue with that. We will.
In this building, the oil is the primary.
Right.
Next is propane, budget to actual 7K under budget, 9K over the water treatment plant, that's under investigation. We're trying to figure that out. Ryan, you can speak to that or any, 16 under budget cultural center. Again, boiler issues, which we mentioned, the oil side. Budget 4K increase overall, 8K of that, 8K is increase to account for rising trend at water treatment plant, so we budgeted for, we can't find the trend this year. 5K at the beach house, the tank is almost full, usage almost nil.
So we budgeted every year to use propane since we opened it, and then we still haven't gone through a full tank.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. I'm assuming that means that our heat pump is working more efficiently now, or?
That, we don't use that all, okay?
The geothermal's primary heat
It is working okay?
when it's not cold out.
Yeah, well,
So it's great.
Yeah,
so we're not having
It's
a bad
working,
year
yeah.
this year, yeah. Hey, you know what, if it works for most of the time, the rest of the time you're just using the electric, then I guess.
Propane.
Yeah, we're continuing to work with KGS on, the issues at the beach house, so hopefully have a resolution for that soon.
Thankfully, not much goes on down there in the winter anyways, so we're happy to get it.
Yeah.
Nothing else on propane, we'll move to hydro.
Propane in the arena, that's just those, heaters on the stands, Danny?
No, I believe there's,
dressing room 4 has
Dressing room
a
4,
propane heater, and the stand, dressing room 3 had a propane heater, and we switched out like last off season for an electric.
Okay.
So there would be some propane costs associated with it.
and that propane pricing staying the same through November 1st of this year. That's what we'll be pricing.
You know, anything else off the top of your head?
So, you know, I want to say off the top of my head,
Fair
it's way off.
enough.
Yeah,
Typically better than the residential price.
Right,
Oh, it
yeah.
is, yeah.
We're a bulk purchaser, so.
Yeah.
Still that. Okay, budget costs, 75 over budget, 45 over budget at the rec center, 27 over at the water treatment plant, partially due to water leak. So again, we're pumping more water,
Right.
figuring out the leak. That should stop next year or this year, but 20 higher due to increase the rec center. Luke, Danny, you guys want to talk about the rec center at all?
just that we're doing an energy audit this year, we're gonna try and figure out why this is getting so high. I mean, our pricing, we're susceptible to all that stuff, you guys will recall from the mail about when it's hot in Toronto, where the price gets affected and global adjustments and all that craziness, so hopefully the energy audit can shed a little more light on things we can do to mitigate that.
Some of you may recall a few years ago, there was issues with our meter reading, they couldn't read our meter, they just. They estimate it, but if you read it, it's obviously very significant.
Yeah.
But I think we figured that out and figured out a way to make that work, so.
This time last year, I got on a call with somebody at Hydro One and gave me a bunch of insight. They were looking at our bill and then he brought me some thing on somewhere that showed me all this stuff that we can look at and said, like, put it all into an email and send it to me, and I never got it. I don't know if you wrote down my email on or something, like, it was a good conversation, but I never got the information of it, so. Do this energy audit and then I'll touch base with Hydro One again and see if they can provide it.
So, just a question, when we run the pool in the summer, we heat it, what are we heating, with one of the boilers?
The primary heat, yeah, so the oil boiler from this building heats it. When we started the pool last year, is when the oil boiler was down, so we're heating with electricity, which is a higher demand, and that's one of the reasons that this is much higher.
So, can you break out the cost of heating the pool water? Could you figure it out?
Yeah, someone, I don't know, the internet would probably help
I'm
with that.
just thinking like,
And would the energy audit help with that?
They would be able to do it like a lot easier.
it seems, excessive to me to run a big boiler like that to heat the pool in the summer, when we may be able to go get a grant to do it with solar.
And I think you're very right, the energy audit could show us that.
Yeah,
The reason
exactly.
why we're going high is keeping that pool so warm in that mild summer.
Yeah, so we may wanna look at that in next year or whatever, say if there's a grant out there, or like, is it worthwhile putting a solar heating system in or something, shutting that boiler down for the summer?
I don't know if actually like our usage reflects or not, but staff has told me that our boiler runs more in the summertime than in the winter. Just for the pool, whether that's hearsay or not, I'm not sure,
Well, it's a
but
lot of water.
there is a big demand.
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
That was
It's a long ways away too.
Pardon me?
It's a long ways away too.
Yeah, you're
There's a lot of
pumping it.
efficiency.
Yeah.
Water from there to.
I'm just curious, does it make sense if we could come up with a number that we would know how much it would cost us, or how big of a system you'd have to put in? And then would there be a grant out there for it?
definitely no going forward.
Dan, what do you have money in sewage treatment for, budget for high? Oh,
There's a building down there that has electricity running to it.
yeah,
Not much in it. There's that old sewage treatment.
that's down in New Town thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
okay.
top house there.
Is that the same building we did the roof on it last year?
It's the building, I agree, it's one, there is power, there's power in both.
Right.
There's a couple fans, there's a couple heaters, there's not much, but it's unfortunate, once we have the plant, we get rid of it, the other half of the sewage in town goes to no plant, right?
Yes, right. Most of that one down there is pretty much bypass now,
Yeah.
right? But you have to, you're right, you can't get rid of it.
Yep.
Okay,
There's something that peaks at 380 we were discussing, the sewage buildings that are barely used. We would have to count those.
okay, well,
The airport there, $4,500, that's to heat the building?
It was trending higher, so 47, 49, that's, we spoke on that last year,
yeah,
so we're gonna turn that heat rate down.
You fix the door or something too, right?
Yeah, there's also, pumping fuel and that up there too, right? There's not much, but
But
that's part of it.
still takes, yeah. Okay. All in all, you know, when you look at it, budget, it's a fair increase. Yeah. It's, I mean, the cost of everything goes up, I think hydro increases their rates. And do we apply for, are we actually able to use time of use pricing? I don't believe so, are we?
We purchase our electricity through LAS pricing.
Okay, so we're just buying it at a
We're
flat
technically
kilowatt rate?
on the spot market right now, we've never done anything.
Okay.
It's been that way since COVID.
That's based on their recommendation, if it's.
Okay. And they've actually saved us money too, right now, I guess. Lots more money. Okay.
Anything else on hydro? Or any other entry? You can always come back too if you have questions or you think it's something
Yeah.
there. Fire. Budget actual, 6K over, 9 over in wages and benefits, 4 over in firefighting equipment, 8 under in travel and training. And then budget to budget, increased by 11% or 25,000. 15 of that is an increase on building materials and 9 increase for training.
So I'll just add that the 9K over wages and benefits, we didn't budget for enough per diems.
Okay.
And then the biggest thing is the per diems that we did budget for, and the ones we didn't combine, we didn't budget the benefits on those per diems, because there are benefits still paid on the per diem.
Right.
So that was a significant increase on this here. It shows up more here than anywhere else. We didn't budget for benefits on any per diems in the past, so we're missing that, but it shows up more here just because that's what a lot of that is from.
What's the 15,000 in building materials?
Rack.
Yeah.
CDA rack.
It's the turnout gear racks.
Yeah.
Our current turnout gear racks are homemade and they're collapsing right now, so it's time to get.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You don't want your expensive equipment.
Not for what we're paying for that equipment, I don't want it on the floor. Yeah, okay.
Look specifically at what's coming here for firefighting.
Zoom in, please, sir.
So here's the big one. I think that's the increase in training.
Mhm.
We reached out to an insurance provider and discussed about non-DZ trained drivers driving our firefighting equipment, and they're not insured. So
We have to get them
I will
trained.
let Ryan speak more to it, but we definitely don't want our non-DZ trained people driving a fire truck, or brand new one especially.
Yeah, there was an urban legend going around where in an emergency situation, any non-DZ licensed firefighter can drive a fire truck to and from, but we debunked that pretty fast for obvious reasons. And in that, so for now we're down due to resignations and retirements, we're down to about 5 people with DZ licenses now. And it's getting to the point where we've had times where nobody can drive fire trucks, so we need to get more personnel trained.
And this entirely has been brought forward, I believe, $7,500 from last year that we had budgeted, that we put into the unexpended reserve to go forward to this year to offset that money back a little bit. Now, originally, we had discussed before we got back from insurance that, you know, if council wanted to make significant weight on our levy when we get there, this would be what we would look at cutting. However, in light of what insurance has got back to us now, this is pretty important.
Yeah, you can't not respond to a fire because you can't drive a truck.
Or even worse, we can't now respond to a fire, have something happen, like, well, we didn't know. Right? We even spoke to insurance, so.
Something else to note there too is it's getting more expensive to get this training. Every year the price goes up. We saw that last year. And B, it's getting harder to get your license. if this guy doesn't come down and you don't leave there with a license, you don't the MTO. It's not like the old days where you go sit there for the week and then you leave with a license.
Yeah.
So it's only getting harder and harder and harder to get a commercial driving license, so we gotta push it.
I've had firefighters try just to go and challenge, like read the books and go challenge, and they weren't successful, so the only proper way is to do it this way.
So there's a road test too with that?
Yeah, and this training consists of 2 weeks training. When I took it through the township back in 2004, it was a weekend and test in, and on the Sunday, we were licensed. But this is 2 weeks training, and then you have to go and write and do your own test.
So they can still fail.
Outside of that, yeah. But your chances are pretty slim with this course.
The road test is up in Thunder Bay.
Describer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when they come down to Scriber, and everything would be set up prior to, like your medicals and your, everybody has to be,
But the training would be.
the training would be here.
Oh,
Yeah, we would host that, we would host the training for 7 firefighters.
Okay,
Yeah, at our fire hall with our fire trucks.
okay,
Establish RDM, so all that stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's 2 trainers to come down from Thunder Bay.
Okay,
What does it look like to become a trainer? Is that something that's feasible and we can train our own people at all?
Well, currently, it does not happen. Currently, the province, the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs is trying to make that happen. It's not like that now, but in the future, that's what they want. They want like a DZ light kind of thing where firefighters can drive fire trucks. They have a special license, but I just filled out a questionnaire last week, a survey about that, and it was exactly would you, if they can get in-house trainers, would you be able to host a training course, with like your own neighboring fire departments to get people trained these in? So that's something that's gonna come in the future, but not right now. This moment.
John?
DZ line is something we should help lobby for.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest political issues on our agenda up here now is trucking and safety of trucking. So it's all right. Once you get a commercial license, it's much more difficult. It's just gonna keep it more difficult because that's on the government's radar.
Yeah.
So I think there is a niche here for firefighters to get their descents. And DZ line is something we should help lobby with. So keep an eye on the agendas and things like that. If you see a resolution coming out of our municipality or even the Association of Fire Chiefs, we should probably just think about supporting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything at AMO for something like that, John?
Sorry,
Is there anything at AMO for something like that?
that's something we could actually go sit with the minister on, for sure.
Yeah.
Need to learn a little bit more about it, but
Yeah.
that would be something we could, we have a unique situation here where we are, we're going on the North Shore. Options are limited, it's not like you can just go challenge the test again in 6 days kind of thing, so it's, yeah. As typical with anything, the province makes policy across the entire province. Sometimes the white brush doesn't catch on in Ontario, so.
Well, it's their highway that we respond to, so they're incentivized to help us out.
Another good point.
yeah. Because to be a trainer now, you have to be affiliated with one of those career colleges, right?
Right now, yeah.
Like Terrace. You couldn't just, I don't know how you go and become a trainer right now without working.
Yeah.
for them.
I'm not too sure either. We had a neighboring fire chief that was going for his signing authority,
Mhm.
but he retired, so we didn't end up doing it.
Does the other truck have studded tires on the rack?
No,
No,
no.
which one?
Even 4?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just says regular all season.
Your rescue truck hasn't been given any use, okay?
Ever since it was down for, I don't know how long it was down for.
Hell yeah, the rescue trucks get,
It's not, it's,
keep that on your radar.
Because
Yeah.
It's real, it's.
Yeah.
21 years old. Yeah, it's,
It's not good.
That's why we have $10,000 in parts and service.
yeah,
okay,
between unit 2 and unit 3, they gave us a lot of grief this year. And yeah, it's exactly what Dan said. That's why you see that
Which one of the springs?
Unit 3,
Gave us a water.
yeah.
John,
So Ryan, the other night at council, a resolution came from Prince Edward County, looking to expand or extend the life of frontline fire apparatus. And we talked a little bit, what is the age of unit 2 right now?
It's 2005,
2005?
yeah.
So it will be at the 20-year lifespan.
Next year.
We just replaced a truck, for in excess of $660,000.
We don't have the money in the reserve.
Currently, we don't have the money in reserve to replace unit 3 or unit 2, so just keep that in mind. Those are big expenses, those are things we probably want to lobby the province for. One of the things in Prince Edward County's resolution was the fact that there is no capital money for fire trucks. You can borrow off of Infrastructure Ontario, but we can borrow off our bank as well, and so just keep that in mind. So these are important things for us, especially a small town like ours, so.
I don't know about trucks, I'd have to go back and look, but the CCDF or the gas tax now allows for firefighting. I'll leave it at that, I don't know if it would go to trucks, I know we're using that for roof fisher, right, so.
Right.
Either way, you know, that we only get about $100,000 a year, correct?
Yeah, like it definitely wouldn't buy a whole brand new truck, but we could look to offset some of the cost. Because again, we don't have it in the fire reserve, right, we just drained that this year, so.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The plan is gonna take a while to get
We're
that.
gonna be close to $1 million for 2 trucks.
Yeah,
Probably a little bit under, a rescue truck isn't as much, but
yeah.
it'll be close.
Well, and really, it's not something you really want to borrow for because you always have to keep putting away for the next truck that comes up, another 5-10 years, right? So,
Yeah, I don't wanna be borrowing, much money you paying a loan off instead of putting money in reserve for the next time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about unit 3 is that it does bring in revenue annually, so.
yeah,
right now, more highway calls.
Well, no, but it's, even with, I mean, we used our unit 3 revenue for pumper 1, right, for engine 1, so
yeah.
that helped dramatically.
I'll give a segue into fire revenue.
Yeah.
58,524 collected and put into the fire reserve, that was budget to actual. Budget to budget, we budgeted once again for 30. Go ahead.
The big increase is the sale of.
Old unit 1.
So,
Number one.
28,000 for that.
Okay,
So then we were pretty close to budget then. I mean,
what was the sale price?
Yeah.
28,000, so we almost started on budget.
I mean, it depends on the year, right? We have a really bad year for motor vehicle collisions and.
And then we're still waiting on somebody from Geraldton, they got back to us, you think he's not working right?
I think he's seasonal.
Takes to see the winter off, that we're supposed to be getting, he sent us the form, what was that for? Which fire, Jack Fish, eh, when we guys got the boats. and,
yeah.
and we put in a claim for, I wanna say like $12,000 for that, based on their form we filled out, we sent it in to them and then after back.
Just what we have right here, we're on Friday now, but back to the fire budget. Something else we really need to be aware of is the winter we're having right now and forest fire season.
yeah,
it's gonna be bad.
So, yeah, Ryan and I are already talking about it. We may want the MNR to come and talk to us or something to that effect, so I'll reach out to them, but see what their plans are as well too, because obviously they're concerned about this up in the fire station as well, so.
Yeah,
just lit on the radio over there yesterday, John, they were talking about the M&R being short-staffed and inexperienced people for fighting fires too, so.
and then there was a thing on CBC News about Alberta and BC, how many fires have been burning since last winter, they never went out over the winter.
Yeah, they're bringing underground.
Yeah, and there's not enough water, like snow melt, to get enough water into the peat moss to put it out, so there's a good chance they're gonna be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And we could be too, I mean, if we don't get some rain.
Precipitation, I mean.
We do have a reciprocal agreement with the MNR for wildfires, but it's, you know, it's not a moneymaker. And again, I think it would just be all hands on deck if something does go down, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be at the most of 1986.
Yeah.
I did notice that in 2023, though, we had a lot more of the MNR saying, listen, we're busy right now, you guys are on your own until we can get crews there, so I mean, it's not getting any better. We were on our own for a while.
the reciprocal agreement, if we respond to an M&R call, they basically pay us to fight that.
Okay.
It's all based on mapping where the fire actually occurred,
Yeah.
but yeah, generally speaking, that's how it works.
Let's hope.
So a grass fire by the dump is our problem, right?
Yeah.
But like for the Jackfish fire, we had our manpower and we had an M&R helicopter fly over, do a circle and take back off to another fire. I said, no, you guys are good, you got it. And that's, so it's like a fear that it's gonna get worse every year, so.
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions on the fire?
Source ops, budget to actual 4K under, and budget to budget, 2% increase of 5,400, and again, this is all related to the OPP contract.
Comment I had is I some ride program funding and expenses. I don't, ever since COVID, it's been, I don't even know where the money's supposed to be coming from. I filled out the application, I guess there's no expense and no revenue to come in. Wait and see, I guess. No budget, same thing for this year.
And the OPP are negotiating a new contract too, so I mean, next year will probably jump up.
I would imagine, so especially with the decrease this year. Yeah.
How much, do we ever negotiate our contract with the OPP at all?
Is it every 6 years, Jim?
So
5 years.
not a lot of room there. Really, it's more or less if you're adding services or you're doing specific things. And again, it's kind of changed since the last time I went through.
Yeah. So the reason I did a ride along recently, and so the one guy actually came from Nippigan. Because I don't guess they're short or whatever.
Yeah.
So but you know, whatever time his shift starts, you know, his shift starts when he starts in Nippigan. So he's still an hour away from our area.
Yeah.
I thought we're actually paying him.
Overtime.
Well,
No, we're not
overtime,
paying, doesn't cost us anymore.
but we are technically a man short or a person short for that full hour. And at the end of the day, when he goes back, so we're actually not getting what we paid for. That's why I asked, because I feel like that's a little bit unfair to our residents here to, but I mean, I'd rather have that guy here than no one at all, but it's just a fascinating, eye-opening experience.
Yeah, like everyone else, they're short.
No.
This is a big hiring phase right now, so it's here, there's a call over for
Yeah.
application.
Or no, the slide is incorrect. I don't want to spell decrease there. 2% decrease, decrease.
Yeah, I was in a presentation recently and the word competent was spelled wrong.
Really?
Yeah. It was talking about higher education, so it was even.
I noticed in my report to council on Tuesday, I put administration is admiration.
Yeah.
Excel check.
I did catch
Good job.
that.
Please board up. And keep in mind, we can come back to these guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Budget to actual 4K under budget, lower travel was the reason for that. Budget to budget, 26% decrease or $2,800, and again, a reduction in travel, so. Paul can speak to it more, but we are entering a new phase of police sports. It's supposed to be placed by April 1st, so I don't know if that'll happen, but we are moving to a detachment level board.
Us and Scribe,
Us and Scribe.
Pace Plat's supposed to be on it too, so it'll be 2 from here, 2 from Scriber, and 1 provincial rep between the 2 towns, so. Scriber, like I talked to Mayor Mullins there, I said, you're gonna put some money in the budget for police, because we're not gonna pay for your police board, whatever it is, so. And then there's training and all that other stuff, and like I said, myself and Mayor Mullins are going to Toronto next week for some training, I guess, on this new system, and see what happens. I mean, I talked to Mayor McPherson there yesterday. They don't have anything set up yet. I don't think Red Rock or Nippigan has anything set up yet, because we're kind of been left in the dark up here as far as, you know, expectations, I guess you could say. But the $7,900 or whatever, I mean, that's basically half of what it used to be a few years ago, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to be up around
15 or 16 grand.
We were 20 at one year. So we've dropped it quite a bit. This is more on line with where it should be.
Move on. Budget actual, 2250 under budget. Saving on bear trappers, so again, fluctuates year to year, the amount of bears we have to go out and trap or not have to go out and trap. Budget 4% increase or $678. I do believe our guys have to go for training at the end of this year. I think they might be good for 24, but for 25, they have to get training. I could be wrong, but
There's no charge.
No, we're still going with 2 or 3, John.
trying to go with 2, with the third kind of in the wings, but it varies, the availability, who's trained, and our main trapper doesn't like to not trap, so he doesn't take vacation, he's around, and the other results the other one not trapping, so. Anything else on Viola? Rental fences. This is our share of rental fence fines that are laid in town by M&R, OPP, anybody else, MTO, can lay for rental fines. Revenue down $700 from the budget, basically the same budget expected in 2024.
It was actually up significantly. It was, I didn't update it.
Okay, I was gonna say, so we obviously got a lot of fourth quarter payments or whatever.
Significant.
I guess for the charges we make too. We also lay penal rate fines once in a while, not very much, but. Or. Play your question.
No, I just adjusted.
Just your glasses.
Looking good.
Anything else on original fences? Minimal amounts, not that much, which is good. Our citizens aren't breaking the law that much, so hopefully. Crossing guards, budget to actual 3K over budget for the wages. 19% increase or 5,000, and that has to do with the negotiated wage increase and step increases as well. So. Questions? Emergency measures, on budget, and same for 2024. The 675, getting us to the satellite phone. And our contract services 911 are staying pretty steady. We are getting close to implementing enhanced 911 completely, I believe. The memo went out last week, not mistaken. So
Yeah.
should drastically improve the 911 system and information that's relayed to fire, EMS, and OPP. Jan is really up to speed on that stuff, so.
No, that's good.
Both of us combined, I think we have to do. Questions on emergency measures? So like, there'll be years when there is stationary office supplies and things like that, because there's stuff I have to buy for emergency management, but it's, like I have a kit now that's good, I kind of replace the food every couple of years, so just in case somebody gets stuck here overnight managing phones. But other than that, hopefully we don't have any emergencies. So it's mine's spaghetti and cans if you want some. No. It's not even chef. We just buy those on sale.
I know we were talking about, I don't know if this falls under here, maybe it's capital or whatever. What about that emergency generator we're gonna look at purchasing for?
Be capital, I guess city maintenance might go here, or might go to the building, I don't know, it's really up to Danny and where that would go. If we're successful.
Purchase of the generator, 100%, yeah.
But I guess wherever it's, the generator's installed, the maintenance and fuel rating, that generator go to that cost center. Perfect.
If we wanted, we could budget for it here, and then that cost center, if we wanted to.
Again, something hopefully is fully covered and we never have to use, but certainly expands our ease of responding to an emergency if there's a power outage. So we use this, most of our emergencies, there hasn't been power outages, so Anything else for discussions? Moving on.
The nightmare sheet.
Public Works, it's 4 minutes to 10. You guys want to take a quick break?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so just recess for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back. 10:10. So Public Works, we typically start with the wage sheet. So full-time and part-time wages, budget versus actuals, combined 25K under budget, 5K under budget on OT. 1.2% increase or $7,000, that's the union negotiated 4% increase, plus step changes. 20K reduction in overtime due to lack of snow in the first quarter of 2024. And you'll probably be under budgets in 2023, lack of snow in December.
So this sheet on my side is a reminder, it's simply just the allocation. It's really more for the FIR related. Our main concern is the overall changes, which you can see is gone up by the 1.2 based on the other ins and outs. So don't get caught up as we go through the public works department. I think roadway is gonna see we're like $70,000 under budget. We're not $70,000 under budget in public works. It's just what was allocated to roadways that time. There are issues sometimes with things being charged to accounts that, I don't wanna say are irrelevant, you'll see more in the rec center side when we get there too, but something I gotta tighten up on when I check payroll, make sure that the accounts they're using are in fact the right accounts, because we have so many, like you notice, all on administration, so many accounts that just exist that we really shouldn't be using, so. Yeah, really, this sheet is more for me. It's for me and the auditors to put into the FIR under the allocation. The biggest thing that council, I assume, will be concerned about when you look is here's our full-time snow removal, sanding and salting. There's the budget match. We gotta remember, you gotta combine it with the part-time as well, right? So year to date for last year, our snow budget was $100,000. And we spent a combined $73,000 at snow removal.
So I think I asked this question last year. What's shoulder maintenance?
It literally is fixing the side of the road. I've asked that question too. But sometimes shoulder maintenance is something where there's no clear task that they did outside. They would charge it to shoulder maintenance rather than like a garage. If they clean the garage, it would get charged to a garage ops account, right? Here it's any random thing that you can think of that they did, they would charge it here. And then when Ryan can speak more into, there actually is maintenance of the shoulder of the road.
A lot more on the gravel roads.
Right.
Yeah.
Your almost road here, when we did the side of Ridgewood, that's all shoulder maintenance. They were brushed it all and ditched it and all that, things like that. Not sure why they separated from the road to the shoulder to the road, I'm not sure why you did that.
If you grade parking lots down the beach or the graveyard cemetery, that's shoulder maintenance?
No, I think that goes under roadways itself. Is if you're doing the actual road, you're working on the side of the road. Again, I'm not sure why we have two different things.
The gravel roads. That's what they, but you know what, I guarantee I can go through the shoulder maintenance, back for time cards or whatever, pick out that it probably should have just been gravel roads that day. Again, you don't get too caught up in as long as Public Works is charging your time to Public Works, that's kind of the main thing, right? Or again, if it's snow removal or this is mostly rent, right? Because it's the garage op accounts, this is all the work that's been done on those pieces of equipment.
I don't know, Danny, in your time, do you know if we've used that shoulder maintenance budget of $50,000?
I can go back and look. I'm not aware that it's ever been over budget, but I mean, if I were to reduce it here,
Yeah,
this column is hiding a bunch of percentages. If I were to reduce this here, it would increase any other one that we would want to. So if we said, okay, let's take $10,000 out of shoulder maintenance, we're gonna put it somewhere else. That's why we don't get too caught up in where it's being budgeted, right, outside of the snow.
Right. Yeah, cause if you took it out of there, it would show up somewhere else, cause the work is.
We can't send the guys home, right?
Well, the work's still getting done, something's getting.
Something's getting done.
Right, okay.
Now, on the other side, on the public works wage part-time, we could say, let's reduce, the grass mowing, for example, by $2,000. But we would have to go into the file that links to this, that we don't show because it has specific names and all that, but we would be taking hours away, say, from the summer student or something, right? If we would adjust any of those hours, then we would see those come down without it going anywhere else.
And are those grant students with the summer grant program?
We
for-
do get some grant money for the students, but it actually ends up rolling up into the rec department, even if they wouldn't care.
So Public Works doesn't typically have a grant student.
Look, they get covered, eh?
They had two last year.
Summer jobs,
I think, yeah.
but
So
unfortunately,
my point is that we can't really reduce their hours anyway. If it's a grant, that's where I was kind of going with it. This
true, yeah.
doesn't matter.
So all these costs under garage off, is that his labor on
That's his labor.
on every one of those pieces of
He
equipment?
spends the day working on the plow truck, his time gets charged there.
Okay.
So that's
I just
these,
kinda-
these are almost more beneficial because it is a good indicator of what's working on, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at is,
He did significant work on that this year. with, seats and everything.
more, yeah. I always look at those numbers on every piece of equipment and go, okay, is this a sign that we're,
It's time for a new one.
or, yeah,
You'd have to look at the trend, right? Because if you look at the trackless, we're over budget on the trackless this year, use that term loosely, but we're, $7,000 on the trackless. And we don't have two accounts, so that'll be both. I mean, I don't think we really used the old trackless much last year. One thing where he spent a full day, well, it was, he had to work overtime on the side of the road when the trackless broke down, right? So there's probably $1,000 right there.
yeah.
So you'd have to go look at the trend on that piece of equipment to see if it's
Yeah.
trending up for it to be, hey, we need to replace it, right?
Yeah, because it's a sign of, one of two things, either we need to replace it or we're beating it up.
Yep.
We
One or
look
the other.
more at the parts, because we separate the parts by
Yeah.
the two, we look more at the parts than the labor, like Danny said. Probably spent, like, say, $1,000 that day on the side of the road for $100 hose.
Yeah,
And George actually stayed too, so there's two guys on overtime, George would have charged us time to that.
Yeah.
As well, so.
So how come do we spend $15,000 on the airport? That isn't,
Up here,
yeah,
never really gone in to actually look at it. Or
We spend quite a bit on the grass out there every year, like.
Oh, yeah,
I'll be out
'cause you
there
had-
almost 2 weeks between the whole summer, between the side of the road and the whole shebang. And then there's snow removal out there too, right, Danny? That's under runway maintenance.
And that would be debatable, I guarantee if we go back and look, there, we say we're under budget on snow, but I guarantee one guy thought that day, oh, yeah, I worked out at the airport, put down his time, because they do their time cards maybe in the morning, right? They're not really paying attention. So that goes a little bit on us to make sure that we're checking between that. But again, at the end of the day, it's not that huge of a concern. I mean, they know what accounts they're supposed to be using, right?
right.
you don't keep the runway clear of snow.
No, just the helipad,
Yeah.
that's what I was just gonna comment on, is there's some overtime there, sometimes we have to call a guy in, we don't plow the town, we
Yeah.
don't sand the town, and we have to go plow the helipad.
Right.
So then there's, often a call in for that, I'm gonna say we're testing the limits a little bit with that this year. In the past, it's keep it bare pavement all the time.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
there's this much snow out there, I haven't been calling anybody yet.
Yeah.
By the time the helicopter gets anywhere near that snow's gone.
Yeah.
And we haven't had any complaints, so we're just,
And I'm willing to bet, like you said, those times where they get called just through the helipad, we're charging it to the airport, so.
Yeah.
Anything else on public works, wages? Obviously, big account, lots to talk about. We can come back, but if not, we'll move on to roadways. Budget to actual, 124 under budget. Labor savings of almost 100 recognized here, wage and benefits, 23 under on machine rentals. Budget to budget, we decreased by 9.3% of 44,000. 11K on equipment rentals, 6 lower on coal patch, 5 lower on winter sand, 5 lower on road paint, and 15 reserve funding to cover manhole repairs.
So is that lower equipment rentals, that's like Randy for helping with snow?
Your sand's obviously down for the same reason.
Yeah.
Yep. We've, cut back on road paint as well. I think we're focusing on parking lots.
Yeah,
Whereas the other
we're
one-
not gonna paint any lines of the roads, we're not gonna paint Mill Road. It's expensive to paint the Mill Road, what's really nice when it's done, but it's $15,000 just to paint that, because you need the big truck from Thunder Bay to come down and do it, so we decided to hold off on that one for another year, especially with the mill being down.
Mhm.
I don't know when we back up before.
And then, yeah, we have a bunch of center lines in town, and then we have a bunch of places where we don't have center lines in town, so we're gonna go with no center lines.
Yeah,
So just do the parking lots.
so we paint the whole Mill Road, the,
We paint our section.
So the first time it was painted under the new construction.
Yeah.
Since I've been here, we've painted it once, it was like 13 grand, now it's like 15. We cut it last year, we cut it this year.
just up our
Just
part of it.
tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but it's
That was
got the
15 grand.
double lane, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bike lanes there too.
They gotta put the things down to paint the bike lanes,
Okay.
the diamonds, and it's like a city road.
If we do paint it again, do we have to paint the bike lanes?
I would think that's the design, I mean, we designed it with bike lanes, right?
I don't think they can force us to now. Never know,
The other big highlight here is, jobs this year, this number 8 here, should say 136, but paving on Fort Garry, Lakeview, South Camp Road, Hudson, and Birch. That will all be covered by gas tax this year.
what are we doing on the Soap Camp Road?
Where we had that water leak on.
Oh,
Just the other side of the
tracks.
tracks,
Okay,
that brand new.
yeah.
Not a big patch, like actually it's really cheap to paint that one, so.
So again, this account is the one here, so all of these roadway accounts. See here, so permanent full-time for part-time benefits, machine rentals, those sort of things, so with every single account, right?
Anything else? Keep going. Street lighting, budget versus actual, 1.6 over budget for $1,600. Budget to budget, same budget 2024. How many lights are we roughly having to fix a year, right? 2, 3?
Yeah, in that area, three, 4. Yeah, sometimes it's just a fuse, sometimes it's all the thing that sees the light.
Sensor.
The sensor, yeah. Yeah, photo cell, that's the word I'm looking for. But then sometimes it's a head, and the heads are expensive. But I mean, really the cost of your labor, usually the parts usually aren't much. It's the fact we gotta rent a lift every time it goes up. The good news there is there's a lift in town now. We were renting lifts either out of Thunder Bay or Marathon. It was
Oh, yeah. Who's got it?
Jake, the Jake electricians.
Oh, they got one?
Yeah, they bought a lift, yeah, so they give us a pretty fair shake on it for the daily rental and everything. It costs us like $300 to rent it per day as opposed to probably 1,500 before.
Who's trained to go on there?
They do it all, they do it themselves. Sometimes we'll supply a ground man if they don't have a second guy, because they have a guy in the ground, so we'll supply that, save a few bucks, but we don't do anything other than that's the light, we fix it.
Was that late on Elizabeth fix?
Yeah, they did, they fixed that.
Airport. Budget versus actual, 6 over, 5 lower due to net fuel sales. 5 lower in net fuel sales. Budget to budget, same budget in 2024, less inventory remaining to sell, carried forward from 2023, offset by no need for helipad lights or fuel tank inspections.
So the big thing here is, well, rather let Ryan speak to it more, we're gonna sell what fuel we have left, we're not gonna buy it anymore. We're projecting that, I mean, take possibly the whole year to sell it, we don't know, we never know, that's why there's still falling off fuel attendant, but the issue with the tanks.
Every second year, we get a tank and a pump inspection, two separate companies. Long story short, our last inspection said everything is complete redo to the tune of about 300 grand to sell. How much did we make last year, Dan? It's a pretty no-brainer decision to not continue selling fuel. This has nothing to do with Orange, just to be clear, there's a lot of confusion there.
Last year.
Yeah.
So
So,
27,000?
That-
We sold 27,000?
Well, we sold 54, but we paid 26 for it, so.
Yeah.
So I had the fuel attendant in there.
Take a while for us to make that back.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of years of selling fuel. And we've done-
and then there's inspections and all that every year too. We would go above ground for sure if we did do it. Like I did get a quote, but it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So, we talked to our insurance says, don't be doing that, like, you have to stop. So, because it's interesting because there's no actual regulatory firm that takes care of airport fuel sales. TSSA doesn't cover it, whatever the other one. Anyways, no, MECP doesn't have, so nobody really covers it. Maybe we shouldn't have gotten an inspection, but we did, and now we know.
And however, if there was a leak, then MECP would show up and say, hey, you're on our fault.
You gotta clean that up.
Yes, we're not covering it.
So next year, when you run out of fuel, you have to decommission, get rid of the
So
tank.
I've got it, I'm waiting for a quote back, I've been working on that for a bit now, and I didn't have it back for the budget, but it won't be this year for
Yeah.
sure. But, it's going to be quite costly for sure to get that stuff out of there. Again, nobody's saying you have to get that out of there, but it's probably the smart thing to do. So keep an eye out for that next year. Well, unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to sell fuel at our airport anymore. After this stuff.
So really, we somewhat of a normal year this year for whole year. I mean, and again, Howard can come in again and buy up all our fuel tomorrow. And then we may, I mean, like you said, the decommissioning that, I mean, if the tanks are empty, we may be able to just sit on it till next year, we may have to act on it. If it's empty, we're gonna, no chance of a leak, I guess, but
John?
Just strategically, we had the presentation on Monday from the solar panel company. Some big changes potentially happen going to the airport in terms of no longer using this airport. Potentially, if we go that way. So it's over the longer term, but really, this kind of fits in with that. You know, we would be doing that more. And they're not entirely related, but obviously the fuel's right with the hell of that, but keep that in mind strategically.
And something else to keep in mind, somebody mentioned earlier, the hydro in that building, we'll be saving that 4,500. We won't be heating that building, we won't be running any power to it at all.
Right.
To be a cold building. Save there next year.
Okay, anything else? Airport? Garage ops, budget to actuals, 6K under budget, 17 under budget on fuel costs due to better than budgeted pricing, 17 over on budget and labor, over budget on labor and benefits, sorry. 500 on garage maintenance for small parts. Budget versus budget, so 9% decrease or 17,000. 14 lower due to decrease in fuel pricing, 7K decrease in vehicle maintenance costs, and 5K increase in heavy equipment parts.
so on the fuel, on the diesel, we're budgeting slightly less amounts this year. And then we're gonna recognize 30 cents cheaper, 30 and 20 cents cheaper, I guess, for the diesel fuel. Gasoline, we're gonna see a little bit of savings. We went out for an RFP to get better pricing, and we're still with Esso, but we got better pricing than we were seeing before. The parts, not much change there. We still really budget the $83,000 for parts, which again, this is the account where we see it budgeted with no actuals to it. You'll see that when we get a little bit further. All the actuals get charged out to the pieces of equipment, right? That's why we see $83,000 here. And then anything that's kind of a general and not to a piece of equipment will get charged here. But the rest of them, you see the equipment, you'll see the equipment charged to each part right there, 13,000, 8,000. And I have that listed on if you want to see it.
Brian, any comments?
Well, I mean, obviously the fuel is because we're not on pump.
Mhm.
You see that recurring thing, but we're almost through the winter. By the time we approve the budget, we will be through the winter.
Mhm. Some of our trucks, are they gonna have to be replaced soon? Like the truck,
You're gonna see that in capital. We have two half tons in there.
You'll also see the capital, we have 5-year plans that we're gonna use going forward now as well. We always present it as part of this capital, it does have operating in it, but it's not really relevant to this year's budget, it's going forward. So you'll see the plans that we're gonna use going forward to, we've got a truck 4 years from now, not surprised, I mean, we've got a truck, right?
Yeah.
This is, you'll see machine rentals, this is just a summary of that, this is our own pieces of equipment being charged to specific things. So snow removal, when they use the equipment, they put their hours of, I use 8 hours of the loader or the grader, and it all gets charged out here. This is just a allocation transaction, there's no net effect, there's a big credit in garage ops, and then debits in all the different accounts, so there's no effect to the bottom line, it's simply charging out the equipment, where it needs to be. A lot of other municipalities, you can look at their FIR and their equipment doesn't show as charged out, so they'll be lower than we are for, say, snow removal, because their equipment isn't charged there, we have a grader we use it, right, whereas we actually go through and lay out where we use all of our equipment.
I'll come all the blank garage off lines there, Dan.
Line accounts we're not using. See no budget, and then things were charged there. Ultimately, the budget, 166, came in at 159. And again, no effect on the bottom line, if you're over or under budget, we just used our equipment more than we thought we were gonna, or less.
Okay, General Public Works. Budget actuals, 39 over budget, 31 higher wages and benefits, 10K higher machine time associated with wages, 3K lower travel expenses due to inability to secure a training firm, and budget to budget, 7% decrease, so 12,400, 15K reduction in travel and training, and 6K increase in tools, propane, and insurance. Anything to highlight?
So this account has the paper transaction in and out of, here's our funding coming in for OSIP funds and gas tax, which is a total of $504,000. And there it is being allocated into the reserve, so it has no effect on the bottom line for this specific department. Yeah, there's our money that we make off doing the odd jobs around town, frozen water lines or
Sewer cleanouts.
sewer cleanouts, something we yeah, chainsaw training, replace tools, miscellaneous, small stuff, confined space, chainsaw, trench safety and working at heights. Big tenants in here.
Questions, no? Move on. Sewage treatment, budget versus actual on budget. Budget to budget, same budget, 2024.
The big things here are we got $14,000 for P liners that we were gonna do last year, and then I'll let Rand speak to that way. Summarize this one. So that's coming out of the expended reserve for this year. We got $10,000 for the lagoon assessment, $35,000 for catering, $8,200 for KGS, $8,000 for birch sewer repairs, $5,200 for building repairs for the flow meter access down at the pump house, and $5K that we've already recognized for the Hudson fuel agreement. There'll be revenue somewhere else in there, we send out the bill for that. I don't even think it was as high as 5K. Maybe 26 cents.
3,500.
Yeah. Ryan, you wanna elaborate on any of that stuff?
Just that the T-liners, there's 2 T-liners we're putting in on first. That's basically a trenchless repair. So, doing it from inside the pipe. We did one successfully. We went through the second one and we found a collapsed service connection on our side. So we're gonna have to dig up. That's why you see farther down 8K for sewer repairs. So we kind of saved 7K there on the T-liners and we're gonna spend another 8 on the actual digging mountain. So that's hopefully our only dig this summer. But as long as you don't find anything else next month.
That's why you notice the paving for Birch a few lines back, it's staying there.
So what do you do with the lagoon assessment?
Basically getting engineering done to tell us if we need to strip the brush and everything off of it. And we probably will be doing that in the coming years. We haven't been told we have to yet, but we're probably gonna have to put a machine in there. We're probably gonna have to get an excavator and our dozer is what I'm kind of thinking. It's not gonna be cheap for sure.
You're talking all of them or?
Yeah, one is worse than the other. The golf course one has a lot more vegetation growth than the compost road. Yeah, that's been going on for a couple of years. We spend a little bit of money every year rather than doing one big shot, but.
Who samples the groundwater around those lagoons?
We pull the samples in conjunction with Aqua, like Linda and one of our guys pulls them, and then they go to the lab.
Nothing else for sewer? Water main connections, budget versus actuals, 80K worse than budget. 57 over budget on consultant service related to leak detection and lightning strike. 27 over on electricity costs, 26 over on chemicals, 16 over on water treatment propane usage, again, which we said we're investigating. 45 under on maintenance and equipment, 30 on valve repairs and 10 on catering. Budget versus budget, 3% reduction in overall water budget to higher expenses. 30K higher water revenue, 9K lower consultant maintenance services, 28 higher in water treatment equipment parts, and 14 higher for propane.
So I'll remind council that this account is different because this account generates money. This is money that's supposed to go into our water reserve at the end of the year because we generate more money off our bills to cover all of the expenses to actually put money away for it. So this is basically what generates a portion of our general fund surplus at the end of the year.
Did you say our reserve is still underfunded though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10K for the building plant maintenance services, the catering and sump repairs, 9K for intake inspection, 10K for corrosion report. $20,000 hit for that timber growth curb stop repair.
Brian, any update on the lightning strike repairs? Okay.
Basically, we're waiting on VFDs. The contractor keeps getting told next month, and they just don't show up. They were actually here last week. It's automation now. They're doing some preliminary work, getting ready to do lighting and stuff like that. But the big thing for the project is the VFDs, and they just will not show up. So we're really basically trapped there until the VFDs show up.
Water treatment plant, parts and services, this is basically Aqua's money, not their contract, I'll show you that line in, but this is what they use to basically operate the plant this year, small parts, batteries, HVAC service, Here's the kind of bigger jobs that they'll be doing this year. crane repairs in the building, a spare sodium hypochemical pump, 2 ground well pumps, automation now tech support, that's an every year kind of operating thing. The level sensors that we've already talked or mentioned for $50,000, a CL2 analyzer, that's a CL02 analyzer. For $15,000, hydrant flushing to do every summer. This was a last minute add, I believe, the west side splitter box valve repairs for $3,000. That's kind of the total amount of money Aqua's gonna be spending on our behalf this year. And then also we pay $205,000 for them to operate. Everything on that sheet previous, Aqua does or purchases, and bills back to us.
We're in the 5th year of our contract, it's 2029, 10-year contract, that's correct, we're halfway. This year's halfway. Signed that in 2019.
Are there optics on that?
What's that?
Are there optics on that?
90 days,
Either side 90 days, right?
correct.
And we're in year, I'm not gonna look off the top of my head, I should do it, we're getting closer to the end of paying for the water treatment.
2029 as well.
Okay.
Same years our contract ends, the payment for the water treatment plant ends as well.
Is that both though, John? Is that a water treatment plant and the lift station? Or is the lift station go
The
along?
compost,
Yeah,
yeah, these are both rolled.
they're both rolled into one, right?
Don't quote me on 100%, but I'm pretty sure they're one.
That's $118,000 we're spending every year on that.
Yeah.
So it's easy for higher levels of government to come tell us to borrow money.
And that's that.
Keep that in mind. That was a $10 million project, 9 million and change. Still paying for it. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
What year was that done?
2008, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there.
30 year.
2010, but yeah, so it's 20 years or more. So honestly, 2009 was too new.
Chemicals we expect to come back down again, that was probably the biggest expense on our water leak for how much water was going out into a river probably. Into the river, probably, yeah.
And we may also see some savings there with mill being down.
Yeah.
We do sell the potable water, right? So we should see a little bit of a reduction there
Wow.
in electricity costs, propane costs, and in chemical costs.
And then if that's the case, we'll also see the reduction in that.
Yeah.
The water bill is significant.
Well, that's the other thing.
They're a metered bill or are they a flat rate bill?
Is there a meter?
They have a meter.
Yeah.
But they're still flat. Right?
But the meter was just put in there because there was a discrepancy on how much they were using, right?
Not sure.
Yeah.
It's been there
They
since
were,
we started.
they didn't believe us.
Oh, okay.
And so we put a meter in. And I think there's a meter up on their end too.
So, for basically almost since I started, they've been trending higher. They were always about 5.5 liters a minute.
Second.
And since I started, they were up hovering at 6.5, and then even over 7. They were constantly sending them, you're over button, and you're over. And they were doing work, they were gonna get it down, and the best they were really hovering around was at about 6, little north of 6. For January, and then February, they're back down to where they used to be. Now that they're.
Well, because we're down 5.
Yeah, so it's whatever they did when they shut down because they're not operating anymore, that's what they need to do if they start back up, to stay back at whatever they were, at 5.5 that they were using, right? So they always said, we can't figure out why we're high, we can't,
Well-
whenever they didn't shut down, they did it.
It goes back to, like we said years ago, where they needed a gland water line, they cut it to the first water line going by, they didn't care. And it could be that they've done that somewhere.
When I worked in the mill, there was always the thought that they were tied in, the potable water was tied into the process somewhere.
Yeah.
You could figure out where-
Exactly, probably is still. But anyway, that's,
So the big increase occurred after a shutdown. SG was still here when I first started here. After the shutdown, they basically increased almost 2 meters a second.
so they tied into something.
That's the theory. There was an air conditioning project going on at the time, there was another project going on at the time. Somewhere along the way, somebody probably tied into processed water and bottled water.
Yeah. So if they're over that 5 or whatever, is there a point where we're just gonna say that's unacceptable, we're raising your bill?
we were getting to that point. However, when we did the water rate study, the study showed that we would actually reduce the bill.
Okay. Why? You know,
I don't recall if we had to review it again, but based on their algorithm, we'll call it, for lack of better word. Yeah, it would have shown that. I think it was more to do with the fact that they had a flow meter, so we could measure what they were using, but still reduce what we were charging them based on a flat rate model that we use for everybody else, right? With that being said, I mean, the water rate study is a study, and it also said, you know, what we were supposed to do with residential and everything else. If the mill does reopen and we don't implement anything out of the study, which we wouldn't at this point, but we would look to raise their rates eventually, absolutely, if they continue to use that much more.
Tanny, how come we paid $4,500 for phone last year? Like-
Phone and internet at the water treatment plant building, the host building.
The pump house, there's a connection between the pump house and water treatment plant, they talk to each other.
Yeah.
Stacy, do they convert?
No, we didn't touch that line. That's a Bell line and it's ran by them and we didn't want to interrupt or cause any issues with the changes, so that was left untouched.
WTP though, is it on TPATEL or no?
No.
Okay, thank you. So I figured, but
Now, something, I'd have to go back and look at the thing, something got charged there that I just haven't moved, because I had to move something for $1,000, especially for us in public works already. One of the bills from, because we budgeted 3,100 and 45 got charged there, something got in there that shouldn't have, that if it was rec center, I'd move it probably.
okay, another big account. Any more questions? I'll move on. Hydrants, 8K under budget, budget versus actual. 5K in wages and 3K in material, there's your 8K. Budgeted budget, a 35% decrease or $5,000, basically reduction in parts. Ryan, is that because we've done the work we needed to get done?
Yeah, yes, that's the quick answer, yes. Our hydrants are in better shape than we thought they were. And we still have some work to do, but it's not a priority this year.
Any hydrants out of commission?
One that's been out of commission for literally ever, and it probably will continue to be out of commission forever. There's a couple hydrants close to it. And it's basically, we can't isolate it, take it out, we're just leaving it alone.
Which one's that?
On the corner of Hudson and Selkirk.
Oh, by Caldwell's, that one there?
Yeah.
The one that's half buried?
Yeah, it's an old McAvey, yeah, and it's just a, don't look at it, don't touch it, don't.
There's other infrastructure close to cables.
There's T-Bay tel Wi-Fi or not Wi-Fi, fiber optic. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to just leave that alone. So that's the only one that's out of commission. Everything else works and actually is all either yellow or green on hydrant flushing report every year. We've got all the reds off. Red was like, you need to fix this now. Yeah, we got all that off. Every hydrant works. You can go to any hydrant in town. And we painted them this year too.
Wow.
And I assume the fire department knows not to use that hydrant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been out of commission for ever. Kind of thing. Yeah, anytime we take a hydrant out of commission, we do let the fire chief know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the fire department and usually it's out of commission for a few hours and I'm gonna be on call, but we always let the fire department know before we take it out. It's known, it doesn't exist.
Did you paint that one too?
Yeah.
Did you get a different color? You just paint that one different color?
Yeah.
Anything else on hydrants? Garbage collection. 2K under budget, budget versus actual, 3 higher in tag revenue, or sorry, 3K higher in tag revenue. 1 under budget on wages and equipment. Budget to budget decreased by 14% or $1,100. Again, 2K higher in revenue and 1K higher in wages. shakes out. Questions?
What's the machine rentals for?
Garbage truck.
Cost of running that truck is allocated there, just.
Yeah, other municipalities wouldn't necessarily allocate the garbage truck to their garbage collection, they just show the wages. Yeah, that machine rental line, there's that big credit in garage job, so it's kind of just a allocation.
Questions? No? Moving on. Landfill. Budget actual, 49K better than budget. 40 under budget for recycling, 20 for the township. Higher than expected scrap and soil load revenues. Budget to budget, 21% decrease or $20,000. Recycling model change effective July 1st, resulting in savings.
So as you can see, we budgeted based on past years, what we kind of bring in and everything from $92,000 in revenue. Our track is $211,000. Again, all of this is split with Scribe. Everything you see here is basically 50% base value with the exception of reserve fund allocation. We allocate 30 of our own and we also bill Scriber for 30. Machine rentals is the local reserve. This year, one big change is what actually, sorry, I should say that the biggest change is the recycling. Everybody else can kind of speak on it because it's very complicated. Basically, we're, all I'm just is looking at the exact same model we have now until July 1st, then everything's gonna change. This budget could be wildly under or over based on a whole bunch of factors, but
We think we have it right.
we think we have it right.
It's very complicated, but basically recycling is not gonna cost us any money after July 1st.
Except for the commercial ICI.
So that'll be a whole nother presentation once we figure that out.
We're
Except for what?
expecting that to be $10,000.
ICI, they call it, institutional, commercial, and industrial is not covered in the new program. Right now, the new program is, when you buy this bottle of water, it's gonna cost 1 cent more or whatever, that's gonna pay for the recycling, it's gonna go to CMO is gonna basically pay to pick this up. But they won't pick it up from a business, they'll only pick it up from residential, so we wanna pick up from commercial, we are gonna have to pay, or we're gonna have to charge the commercial or whatever, however we go to it, but we can't figure that out yet.
Do we know how much commercial recycles already?
We have a really good idea, and it's not much. So we want to encourage that a lot more, but it's going to cost money to divert that material.
Like, do we even recycle out of this building?
Yep.
Right now, in a very condensed, as plain as can be, from January to June this year, Blue Box still gives us money. It's actually doubled since last year. We're still trying to find out why. So they're gonna give us $32,000 and we're expecting about $48,000 in expense to GFL for coming to pick up those bins, the 2 to 3 a month we get. That'll end at the end of June. Going forward, CMO we're signing a contract with CMO. It's gonna pay us about $10,000 a year. And we're expecting about $10,000 a year of expense for that ICI going out the door. I mean, it's a wash for the last half year. So like Ryan said earlier, recycling isn't gonna cost us anything, we hope, after July 1st.
So, commercial, you guys, the town will pick it up for a fee?
We'll bring that to council to decide. Right now, we're waiting on, so what's gonna happen on July 1st is the first recycling day in July.
Yeah.
You're gonna see a GFL truck in town picking up all recycling.
Oh, yeah.
Residential, we're done picking up recycling. right now, we're waiting for a price from GFL on how much it's gonna cost to get our commercial picked up. We're gonna bring that basically, in the simplest terms, we're gonna bring that to council, and council's gonna decide if we're gonna pay that to pick up commercial. That's basically, it'll be a way more complex report than that, but that basically is
Those bids will still be on the dump though, right?
those bins will still be able to dump, they call that convenience depot, we will be paid $1,500 something a month to operate those bins. But the recycling that gets picked up in town right now, when we pick it up, we put it in the bins as well, now it'll go right to Thunder Bay, or right to the receiving facility, and said where that is, but we can assume it's Thunder Bay.
So what happens if the commercial decides to bring it home to the dump? Do they get charged?
That's another part of the decision we need to make, are we gonna allow that? And if we do, that's a little simpler, because they're just automatically gonna charge us 25% of whatever we recycle, whatever those bins, when they get picked up, they're gonna charge us 25% at the rate of $200 a ton, plus a little calculation, but roughly $200 a ton.
Another big item of note on recycling, this is basically how we calculate the bill that we're gonna send Scriber. For the recycling costs, we're at $8,000 per month for the 6 months, plus the 10 grand for the ICI that we're expecting. Plus we're moving household hazardous waste to here. In years past, we always pick up the bulk of the bill, we don't really share necessarily with Scriber that it's happening, but we also won't turn it away, and this year we're gonna advertise in Scriber as well, because they're gonna pick up half the bill for it.
Okay.
Mhm. They said they're gonna pick up half the bill?
We're telling them they're gonna pick up half the bill, they can debate it. Once we pass this and we shared with them, or if John chooses to share it ahead of time, but
Regardless, everyone must recycle by 2026, so we're trying to get started to transition with us in July.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit of a problem right now. But every municipality in Ontario is required to have a blue box equivalent recycling program in place by 2026. So we chose to transition early because we already had recycling in place, and because the producer responsibility market was going to pay for it. So,
Mhm.
everything is based off of what we had in place in August of 2019. So if we want to introduce a new recycling regime of some kind or collection of some kind, that's on us. But CMO, certified materials, which is made up of industry, private businesses that are running this thing, they will fund what we had in place August 2019. So they're also pretty big improvements to it. Obviously, it's not efficient or ideal the way we do transport our materials to Thunder Bay, because it's the closest material recovery facility. But at the same time, you know, is using the bins and trucks they use to haul them the most efficient way? Hard to say. Using a haul truck, like an actual collection vehicle to drive all the way to Thunder Bay, that may not be ideal either. For the short term, that may be the way they do it. It's up to them, it's not up to us.
Right.
Okay, anything else on landfill?
Just remind me, when we did our fee increase this year, did we change the tipping fees at all? And do we know the last time that we've actually adjusted
we
those?
didn't touch any of these tipping fees. You're thinking of the garbage collection fees that we increased last half, right?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, like someone buy the dump card.
Yes, we haven't touched
Yeah,
this
touched those in a while.
in a long time. There's too much going on there right now.
Yeah.
Council will recall, in previous years, we've had the money in from reserves for the scales.
Yeah.
To actually do the scales, we're not even building that into the budget this year. It has no impact on the levy. It hasn't for years now.
Yeah.
Until back to the first year, when we put that money in and then put it away, so.
And we're waiting to sort of settle everything with the landfill, basically.
No point, I mean, if we were seeing, if this whole CMO thing or whatever, and they said, no, you have to pay this, and it's recycling, and it's gonna triple in cost, we'd absolutely look at raising the tipping fees or something in the interim, so that it's not such a big hit on the levy, but
Yeah.
we're actually reducing the levy impact this year, so still no need to really look at that yet.
Higher level picture though, they should be increased. That's the point.
And will we notice, again, with the mill being closed, will we notice a change in what we put in the landfill this year? We anticipate.
Possibly,
What that looks
there's
like.
lots of people working out of town now, if they'll generate less garbage.
Sure.
Probably
And
safe.
nothing from the industrial side, you don't see.
The mill actually has their own,
They don't
Yeah,
use it.
that's what I thought.
which we confirmed they're still getting pickup, still this week they got.
We still pick up their domestic
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah.
Their
That
garbage
must have
and their-
dropped a lot.
Cemetery. Budget versus actuals, 9 under budget, 8 higher in revenue. Budget we've increased by 17% or $500.
What's unfortunate is, I mean, we don't really wanna see,
Mhm.
see that. Purely an expense standpoint, we're about $1,000 under budget. Mostly on the committee projects. And too much what they did or didn't do. And this year, the only project that we had for them is $3,000 for ground.
Yeah, and that's for the walkways, right?
Delineate the roadway a little bit better in the new section.
Yeah. So, I don't think we really asked for much other than that.
Save money and take that off my lawn.
One other thing for that. You can actually, spray pesticides in a cemetery now to kill the weeds.
Can we really?
Couldn't before.
They changed it.
Is that something we wanna look at? No,
I'm gonna say not at this time.
okay.
It's a pain taking care of the cemetery, but I don't know if we're ready for that.
How often are you out there cutting the grass, right? Roughly.
I mean, it all depends, but I'm gonna say close to weekly, every 2 weeks. And it takes a while, cause you gotta weed eat the whole fence.
Yeah.
Now we've cleaned the fence, now we're gonna try and take care of the outside of the fence, so we don't end up that mess again. And then all the headstones, yeah, they're not.
You gotta weed whack around the headstones. Yeah, you're right.
They keep it looking really nice, but it,
Yeah.
Roundup will do a good number on that, around the fences.
Yeah, would it?
Anything else in cemetery? Committee should be commended, they've done some good work to the grounds in the last little bit.
Yes.
Taking the gazebo and those kinds of things, so.
That
good job.
committee hasn't changed much for years.
Keep it
Right? The
nice.
makeup has been the same and they do good work and
Well, one time they were asking about improved signage for the cemetery to match.
I think on your thing there, Danny, wasn't there $1,000 or something for sign?
No, it's 0.
Thousand signage on the road.
I saw something
Oh, yeah.
there too.
Yeah,
Yeah, under committee
You want to
budgets.
move the sign out through the middle road.
yeah.
I believe they do have a directory now as well too, they're
Yeah.
working on it. A lot of modernization, there'll be some modernization on our end in a couple of years as well too, so. Anyway, from
It's
the,
all going online.
the big cemetery to up and try and move, into electronic, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
For a bit small, to create something like that and to contract out to a software company, so. we don't really wanna
Even-
do this, so.
Even scanning a book though into a PDF on the website is a huge help.
Anything else in cemetery?
No.
Okay, moving on. Safety. Budget to actual, 10,000 under budget, 5 savings due to less travel and training, 5 savings due to less joint health and safety meetings, as well as less inspections. Budget 12 less in 2024. Reduced travel and training, 8K, and wage allocation for meetings and inspections. Luke, Stacy, any comments on H&S?
Originally, we had it budgeted for monthly meetings. We're not mandated to have monthly meetings, as well as we had, like entire township inspections monthly. So we're mandated, on the inspection to do the entire township within the calendar year, but you don't have to do the entire township per inspection. Right, so we've broken it up to, you know, the rec center is January, the public works garage and water treatment plant are February, like sectioning it out to make it a bit shorter and easier to do on staff. As well as we hold, like bi-monthly meetings.
So you're not mandated to do it monthly, because I guess because you're not industrial. That's good. I mean, as long as you're in compliance.
Yeah, the Ministry of Labor came to visit last year too, and I was actually, like, he didn't in writing recommend it, because that's the Ministry of Labor, but
Right.
he had said that we were above and beyond what we were required to do.
Okay. Good, no.
Anything else, health and safety?
Just I just nosy more than anything. Do you have, people trained for fall arrest and working at heights?
Yeah, so all of our rec maintenance staff are, except one person who missed the training last year. We'd like to get them in this year, and that's actually in a different account. I think that's in rec ops. Yes, we do. Mostly we have it because when we decorate the Michael King Hall for any.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The one big drop in there is last year we purchased an AED, which I think was around $2,500. This year we don't have to purchase one.
Anything else you can highlight? Okay. Moving on. Whatever district health unit, budget to actual on budget for 2023, 3% increase for 2024. Paul, any comments?
I can't remember what Dr. DeMille said yesterday or the day before, but I think they're losing some funding. She said they're gonna lose some funding. I can't remember from where, so. Put it this way, I don't think it's gonna go down.
Also lots of conversation going on right now, much higher levels of combining health units. Whether or not it'll actually be mandated by the province, but eventually it's to be seen, but,
It's volunteer.
our health unit is one that is
Yeah.
being proactive and looking at it volunteer.
Because, well, maybe a bit off topic, but Algoma, which you same your area, in Sudbury said, yeah, we're gonna amalgamate. They said, no, we're not. So now everyone's waiting to see what they're gonna do,
I believe
or what the province is gonna do about it.
Portland and Temiskaming already amalgamated, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of Southern Ontario ones have amalgamated, but for our area to go from the Manitoba border to Manitoba, it's just one big health unit. North to James Bay, way up there to all the First Nations and all that other stuff.
That's a big area.
Well, personally myself, I can't see it working, but see what happens.
Could be one of those things though where they ask you to look at it, but in the background they're telling you to do it.
It's got told.
Yeah, the same thing with the hospitals, right? I mean, the reason they started merging hospitals because they were quietly told, you wanna do this. Okay, so budget is, it is what it is, 3%.
Sure.
Okay,
And also health unit, we'll move on to EMS. EMS expected to be 3% over budget, awaiting a fourth quarter billing. And 3% increase on 2023 projected for 2024.
And basically, as far as I know, they hasn't said anything to us, John.
Nothing new on that front. It's been a while since I checked in. I'll probably be again here soon, but I think they were delaying that a few years actually, so.
Well, Shane Year's at municipal league talking. I'm not sure what he's gonna talk about, Bert, but.
Be a good time for us to actually face to face with them.
yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, they got real quiet, about.
They had a report go to the council at some point last year or late 2022, I can't remember, and it did, I just when delayed any decision on some of that. Last time I checked in with Chief Muir, it was with a different department of the city, I guess analyzing what properties we had proposed and what Stryver had proposed. And they were doing some, but again, I think because the other report said just hold off on it, that maybe, goes to the bottom of the pile in that other department, the property analysis department, so.
Yeah,
It's all theoretical, and they could come to us
Well,
tomorrow and say we're ready to go. but-
exactly. Yeah, I think there's stuff going on in the background there.
And for us, even the position we're in now, it would probably be we would borrow to build, and
And that's 1.5 to 2 million bucks.
At least,
And that was whatever, 2 years ago, right?
yeah,
So it might be more now.
with inflationary increases and everything, yeah, you're probably looking at 2.5 to 3 more.
And we've got water and sewer, we have to tie in as well, too, so.
Yeah, and then there has to be a business case made for it, right? At the end of the day, if it doesn't pay for itself, why would you want it?
Anything else on EMS, any other comments? Hey, Trent. Budget versus actual, we're on budget, I think we're waiting for Stryver for a detailed bill, if I'm not mistaken. Budget to budget, 28% increase, or 7,000. We had a meeting before Christmas, council aware, we increased drivers' wages. We also increased the fees for riding, and we'll see where that shakes out Q2 of this year. We're supposed to have another meeting to see what the trends are for the first quarter, and I'm sure we'll revisit it again in Q3, but keep that in mind. New van came online too last fall. Good pick. But Stryver's one of those purchases. It's their capital, not ours. Okay. Nothing else on hand, we'll move on. BSAB, budget to actual, on budget for 2023, 2.3% increase for 2024, or $3,400.
That's confirmed.
That's in stone now?
Yep.
That's lower than I thought it would be. Yeah, I don't want to poke the bear on that.
Any in-depth questions you can go forward to Council Stryver, she's the rep for our two communities on the board, but haven't heard anything really earth shattering coming out of BSAB in the last little bit, so. I don't think it's obviously on the mind, childcare will be on our minds going forward, so. Those are some of the things we're looking at, that'll probably be a 2025 project for us, and then housing, if we get into it with them, will probably be 2025, 2026, so. Any other questions on DSAP? Senior snow removal, 10K under budget, obviously it's a variable cost, we've said it a number of times, you can see grass outside right now, which we normally don't do in here, right? Budget versus budget, same budget in 24. One thing to note, we did try and lobby for the funding to be increased here, but you can see it's really never, it hasn't increased for a long time. What does increase for us is what the contractors charge and what we subsidize. So we do keep an eye on that, and we have raised our charge over the years to compensate for the increased charge by the contractors. So, Danny, any comments on this one?
Just a curious thing to note that our revenues match budget versus budget last year, we're $10,000 under our contract expense, so we have the same thing going forward for this year, but it's gonna, that person watching that going forward this year. Something just doesn't happen.
Fair enough.
But then again, how most watching this year, so.
We, there's a couple storms in the queue here, long-term forecast, but, again, the temperatures are high as well too, so it's hard to say if those storms will actually have any lasting effect. So keep in mind, for those traveling this week, we're supposed to get a lot of snow on the 28th, so.
Oh, yeah.
More than 29th. So both those days. Anything else on senior snow? Not? Still a bit early for lunch, so we can dig into rec if you guys would like.
Let's jump in.
Okay. Recreation revenue. Budget versus actual, 16K. I even need a break though, but we.
Yeah.
Okay, take a quick break, and we're gonna recess for about 5-10 minutes here, so just want to move, if the goes online, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Recreation revenue, we're back here at roughly 11:30. Budget versus actuals, for 16K higher than budgeted, almost exclusively due to arena rentals. Budget versus budget, 10% decrease or 12,500. Conservative estimations of idling in the mill, 5,500 decrease in pool revenue.
The big thing in the arena here was with COVID largely affecting our arena for the last few years. As we kind of projected it going forward, we never accounted for the fee increases. So we weren't going off usership, we were more just going off the dollar amount, so that's why we were so far out on that. And we've seen, a slight increase in usage of, I guess, in the 2018 and 19 numbers being the double 18s and that are coming to use our arena, that's. But again, we've been very conservative with that going forward, only because we don't know what's gonna happen with people being out of town, working out of town. And then the same idea with the pool, that kind of accounts, that's based on this year's actual, we're gonna assume we won't have the staff to open this on weekends this year, but hopefully we do, we don't know yet. So we're just trying to be very conservative with revenues. Because the revenues have such a huge impact on the levy that if we increase them, even by, 2% here, thinking we're gonna, we'll have this higher revenue, that has a big impact on what we're gonna decrease our levy by, right, and leave us in a poor position.
Thing is, like, we put the ice in early last year, so you increased your revenue.
A little bit, really, yeah, by 2 weeks, I believe.
Was it just 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So it was earlier than what we typically put it in, but year to year it was about 6 weeks. Because we actually had a delay the year before
Yeah.
with the pumps.
Yeah.
So there's we were a lot earlier than the year before, but this year we're actually only so much earlier than we should have been.
Even the year before, we only had 18,000, right, because of not being allowed to be open for the full in 2022.
And because of the warmer weather we had in the fall too, that probably increased your hydro bill too for the arena.
Sure did.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's a bit harder.
Well, the other fees are small. Our lease for the beach house is pretty standard. We see that when we come in. Beach house rentals, we were kind of just open a prayer on what we were putting there, so 1,000 and 1,000, well, since it's been open, so we budgeted 1,000. This donation this year was from Canada for the movies, I believe.
Yes.
So that's what that is here. Other than that, it's really just fish donations, anything else of that nature. Again, you'll see all of these accounts sprinkled throughout at the very top of each tab as we go forward. This is just a summary of all of the revenue.
We're still getting pretty good donations to fish.
Check it probably every 4-ish months. Pull out anywhere from $80 to $200. Like obviously in the winter it's
Not as
slow.
yeah.
What's wrong?
There's a lot of options in. If we, like, it should probably go to the winter sand budget, all that stuff.
One of the things you can look at next is you make their alterations, but like one slot as opposed to just the.
Yeah.
Both. We talked to the designer about it, so we'll see if we fix that.
One other note, like, we'll see the curling club room rental, that's for off-season rental, like, that's not what we charge the curling club, that's when we do over.
Rep wages, full-time, part-time, again, the theme, typically when we enter a big department like Director of Public Works, we'll deal with, in Rex case, revenue and then the wages, in Public Works case, the wages and this. Full-time, 28 more than budgeted, part-time, 5K under budget, and really just the usage of higher casual labor. Budget, full-time, 11K higher than budgeted, last year, 4.5 wage increase, higher department salary and less amount allocated to tourism. Part-time, 34K higher, again, the union's negotiated 4.5 increase for this year, so. Anything?
No, again, the sheets are no awful to look at, but it's simply for an allocation summary of all of the different tabs. Yeah, other than that, it's straightforward.
Questions of council, standing out, next look at it, obviously, and like I said, it is a pretty busy sheet.
What was the kids zone coordinator? Who's that?
That was one that used to have, summer camp or whatever.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
And as you can see, this account is being charged to with no budget. I believe that is the playground one, it's actually.
That's playgrounds and outdoor spaces, so it's all our grass cutting and flower beds and everything like that.
And last year we talked about taking out some of the decommissioned playground stuff. Did we ever do any of that work?
I don't believe so.
East Grove and Ridgewood, I think we talked about, but.
Moving on, recreation ops. Budget to actual, 36K over budget, 25 in part-time wages allocated to the account with no budget dollars. 10 over on ski hill expenses, and budget 3% increase or 6,800. 5 lower in revenue projections, 5 higher in wages and benefits, and 3K reduction in travel and training.
Big thing to note here is the ski hill. Really for 2024, we went over budget because council will recall council resolution. Came off the top of my head, but we approved the AMA replacements last year, so it was almost 9K. And then there was also an increase with ward bond being $4,000 more. So combine the two of those, that's why we were so over budget. This year, we've slashed the budget where we can, knowing we are probably not gonna open. Ward bond, we have no choice, we still have to have it inspected. The big thing we're waiting on right now is insurance. Now, I have an email pending back to our insurer. Do we want to close the ski hill this year for sure? They'll reach out, like a broker will reach out to the insurer to see if they can get a reduction in anything without affecting any of our service going forward for next year or anything like that. I mean, we could flat out cancel our policy, but then we may not get insurance next year.
You're right.
So really, we wanna just confirm that council supports not opening this year. I mean, I could fire this email off after this meeting, and they could come back with some type of reduction. And then we get 10 feet of snow the next day, right? And it's still only February, so it's kind of, do we say no and try and get a reduction? And we don't get a lot of snow, but
Just building on, like the requirements to operate ski hill. Sister Master said you need at least 2 feet. You want to put up a base and then play with. And it takes approximately 2 weeks for them to get set. So if we were to get 2 feet of snow today, we would be into the first week of March.
Before we could even use it.
Have they expressed how they would feel about not opening it this year?
Trying to chase up with Paul, like fact checking that. The last time I talked to him, he didn't think that we would be operating and wondered that even if we did get a dump of snow in March, would it be worth the effort to try and get it? I think we circled around that conversation without a definitive answer.
Yeah.
But when we were having that, it was early February, talking about Winterfest and the family day.
There's some snow forecast,
Yeah,
see the temperatures though,
Yeah.
not great.
I don't believe in fortune teller either, and that's what this is.
well, exactly, because it could change. I think I'd be in favor of just saying it's a wash.
I agree though, like, I mean, I wouldn't just flat out cancel our insurance policy.
No.
I think, next year, I fully, no crystal ball, I fully anticipate a lot more snow next year.
I mean, to flat out cancel the insurance policy would leave us wide open to somebody getting hurt on the hill in the summer, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's still covering the chalet as well, if somebody broke into the chalet. A significant portion of our premium is towards the general liability, which covers a skier getting hurt, right? So. And they even said there's no promises, they would reach out to the insurer, we could say, yeah, we don't want to live in the hill, I fire off that email, and they might come back and say, there's nothing we can help you with, you have to pay for it.
Yeah,
But I don't wanna send that off they said, yeah, we'll reduce it, and then we do get this 2 feet or 10 feet of snow, and then the ski hill can, and we can open, well, sorry, we already canceled the insurance, right?
Can we also see a financial statement from them from last year?
We have one already, I believe, if I provided it,
Yes, I have the 2022 one.
we don't have the 2023 yet. Sure.
Sorry, yeah, we'd have the 2023, because we had to supply it to the insurers,
Okay,
for their, sorry, I was thinking like it.
well, I don't know how you guys feel, you optimistically crystal ball, there is snow coming, but it's enough, 15 centimeters is not enough. You know, I would just, I'm leaning towards, like Danny said, send a letter off and see if we can get a break on it, if we can't, oh well, but just to surrender, the ski hill's not gonna run this year.
Danny, is Manitowoc's open?
Yeah, snow machine,
But they make their own snow, really.
we should call it a snow machine, snow making machine.
They had a drag racing event the other weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, skidoo drag race up the hill.
Oh, cool.
It was really good.
So to see what,
I think that would be the best decision.
I think so.
I think it'd be the wisest decision, I think.
I mean, there's, like you said, no guarantee it's gonna make a difference, but
yeah, they might come back and say, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing anything anyways, and then you get the snow, we do open for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We'll check, I'll let you know that what the answer is.
No. I guess. Well, we're not approving the budget till later anyways,
Sure, yeah, we have time to adjust it.
so you really don't have to decide now.
No, but we have to decide whether to send an email. now.
Yeah.
And I sent it, they come back and said, are you sure there's gonna be no operation? So I didn't wanna make that decision without,
Mhm.
I don't, sure decision being.
Yeah, so the insurance expires December 1st.
of this year.
Yeah, and like, we've never ran a ski hill in September, right here. Like
We hope not
this
to
is,
either.
this is the window.
This moving forward, just for clarification, in the budget, we're budgeting to not open skiing, then we'll check in the interim, we're still not passing budget until the end anyways. So
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
miraculously get 4 feet of snow, great.
I mean, realistically, looking at the breakdown of the premium for like, if they do credit us and give us anything back at like $2,000-3,000, so I'm like. The
Yeah.
impact on the budget is insignificant, sure, we'll adjust it, but it's
Right.
not,
Yeah.
be all end all, we're just trying to reduce some cost.
Mhm.
Already gone through ski hill, anything else on rec ops before we move on? No, anything else on ski hill? Okay, moving on, rec center. Budget to actual, 24 over budget, 24 under on combined wage and benefit allocation, that's an allocation. 35 over on combined heating oil and electricity, 15 over for roof repairs. There's a resolution there, I'm assuming that's the,
Mhm.
When,
yeah, moving forward, funds, something. Budget, same budget, 2024. 20 higher electricity costs, 15 higher wages and benefits, 27 lower heating oil, and 9 lower and athletic equipment, tools and building materials. And Luke, anything to highlight we haven't already talked about in terms of energy or?
So, you know,
see what happened this year, I live on air conditioners.
No roof leaks this year, everything's been good.
no one's, so I followed up with the Fairland Park, there hasn't been any, typically we only get it. Or like really during the snow melt or when it's pretty extreme rains, hasn't been snow melt or I guess it has technically melted, but we haven't had enough for it to matter.
Okay.
But last year, at different points of the season, 3 of their 4 sheets were had issues with drips. There hasn't been any issues this year. And we did have the bigger leak in the multi-purpose room, like towards Riel's office.
Yeah,
And there's been nothing coming through there.
okay,
When Flint did the repairs, they did find several gaps and spots that they believed water would leak through that were repaired. So it was nice knowing that they did something.
right. Okay.
No, do we know which spots they checked? So future, like if we need to send one of our own guys up to look at it, we know where they worked or.
The big ones,
Yeah.
yes, there were some like
Yeah.
spots or like where the seams were patched, I couldn't name, but the bigger ones, it's obvious because they have a little patch on it.
Anything else for Rick Center? Moving on. Pool. What's the actual? 24 under budget. 21 lower in wages, 5 lower in revenue, 5 under on filtration grid repair job. Budget to budget 15 lower this year, it's roughly 10,900, almost 1,000. 6 lower in revenue projected, 18 lower in materials, equipment and maintenance, no filtration grid repairs scheduled for this year. Luke, anything to highlight? This has been highlighted in the slide already.
Again, council have a question of, will we have enough pool staff and, will we be open on the weekends? Truthfully, I predict to know that like the day that we open the pool. That the students are like herding cats. There's some unknowns as returnees. We have 3 students who, like last year they were 14, this year they're 15. And can qualify to be a lifeguard with the reduction in age. Would like to send them away for training, make sure they have their qualifications. Getting them to confirm that they will be lifeguards and would like the training is very cagey for an unknown reason.
I got a question, since that pool is 60 years old this year, like what's I guess structural integrity of it? Like, did we ever get it inspected for stuff like that? I know there was a liner put in a few years ago because of leaks in it.
Which we had issues with the liner and that one jet at the one side, the liner was bubbling out there and all that. I can't speak for the pool specifically, but the building is fully appreciated.
Yes, in the asset management plan, it basically says everything is past life expectancy.
Which would go a long way in getting us a grant.
No, that's what I was getting at. Should we be a little proactive and, you know what I mean? John?
We had invested significantly in the pool, my first couple of years here, a big filtration project for the pipes that go around the pool that filter the surface skimmers with carriers. And then we did the liner project, which was
7 years ago.
$150,000 plus, probably 176 rings a bell. And then just ongoing repairs to the side and the filtration pit, that kind of thing. So it is well past its age, as everybody is alluding to. Really, it's one of those things that's nice to have. Couldn't we replace it tomorrow? No, we can't afford it. There aren't any $15 million grants out there to build an indoor pool, but we'll keep our eyes out. If council again wants to go somewhere in that direction to build something like that, that's something we probably take out of our strat plan. And the other thing is the demand for that type of facility. Other municipalities have lots of work up to construction of new pools and new recreation facilities. They have the numbers of what we require. Most of our assets now, rec, don't pay for themselves now, even though they're fully amortized and expensed, because we can't charge $500 to our price. So just keep that in mind. Luke?
Kind of building on that, I would like to point out Marathon closer their pool this year, like a much larger community, because of the capital investments it would require to continue it. Their situation is slightly different because they had an indoor pool, so certainly there's bigger costs associated with it.
Marathon's also looking at a new facility, $50-60 million. They have the population projected growth to sort of warrant some of that stuff. And again, their assets are roll. But they also have private investment potentially helping them out there.
You'll also see the capital budget being, again, part of the 5-year plans. that whatever's left that we could be looking at in the pool, because the asset management plan is in the same place too. 5-year plan is gonna say, well, we've done the liner, we've done this, we've done that, the pumps now, but whatever else is left in that room outside of the filtration bed, we look to replace that in 2025 or something, right?
Cause I mean, the arena's whatever, 75 years old and still chugging along.
And then, the pool and like our larger capital infrastructure should be highlighted in the recreation master plan, which should be completed approximately July.
Nothing new with this conversation, we've had this conversation since I've been here.
Yes, over and over and over again.
So,
Honestly, I think the best we could ever hope for if we were to build a pool would be an outdoor one. Even that would be hard to come by with the money, right? Best bet right now is to try to maintain what we have.
I think what's always fascinating to me with the pool, when you read the wall out here, is that it was all raised by citizens. They all paid for it. And I think the mill kind of just got them over the top at the end. But, you know, if it's something that we want to replace, something that's easy enough to go to the community and businesses and say, hey, this has always been a community project. See what we can do. Not to go back to the lifeguards, we talked about bringing a trainer in instead of sending our
Yeah,
students out.
that's our, we would have enough that it should be more cost effective to bring someone in.
No, I know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we bring in other municipalities? Did they come to our pool to do training?
They have in the past.
Yeah.
Last year we sent 2 students to Thunder Bay. But certainly if we're bringing a trainer in, I forget the maximum course size, but if we have open slots, we'll reach out to Nippigan and previously Marathon.
And if you just mentioned the marathon pool, it comes in, lifeguards from that, right? Staff from the past, in the past has been.
Yeah.
On the pool, so hopefully.
anything else on the pool? Arena, actual, 2K over, 15K higher revenues, 11 higher wages, 5 over budget on maintenance on, maintenance and repairs. Budget, 29% decrease or close to 20,000, 1991, sorry. No brine pumping jobs or dressing your meters, will be a similar budget 2024 otherwise. Anything to highlight right off the hop? Luke, anything you wanna highlight in the arena?
Not specific.
What about that stuff we put in the pipes? Do we?
Refrigeration.
Hey, but we're not,
No, the seal.
Good,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in refrigeration.
Okay.
that's not in the budget. This is typically every second year. 2 years ago, we used a half batch. Last year, we used a half batch. And our bird recommended not putting it in this year.
What year of our contracting with the new contractor? 2? I think, or 3?
We're number 1.
We're just the first year?
I forget when I think it expires in the off season and then we would, so April sometime we would move into the retreat.
Thank you.
But I believe we're still, as of today, on the first year, towards the end of the first year.
Anything else in the arena we want to current club? Budget actual, 6 under budget for additional unbudgeted revenue. Budget to budget, 89% decrease of $5,700. Proper amount budgeted for it.
Couple things here. There's an error in the 2023 budget of what we were budgeting for rent. We weren't budgeting enough. So there's some $10,000 that they pay for their 6 months. Here, you have the 2 contracts that were kind of running simultaneously for 2023. Simcoe reimbursed us, but there's no revenue account here to put that in. So the revenue is in rec ops, so all tied together in recreation. You just see the additional charge here, you'll see the same thing in refrigeration fund. That was just the bird contract, at which 34% is charged to current. boards, decking and boards and center boards this year.
Yeah, the only thing I would note there, so every year we reach out to the curling club, asking for them to submit a budget for some things that they would like. This year they requested that composite decking. If we look at the middle section, like the walkway through, they get a lot of paint chips that come off onto the ice, fix the rocks. Effectively, we would just cap all the existing stuff there, so that anytime there's a hose on, or just anything walking across it, those flakes aren't falling onto the ice.
When it comes to the curling club equipment, if you're funding, looking to purchase a new scraper, does that belong to the club or is that something that belongs to us?
So the curling club scraper belongs to the club. Their existing scraper, it's, I don't know, same age as me roughly, I think.
So not very old.
No, older scraper. So, we did have actually the public works mechanic look at it, wasn't able to identify the repair. Reached out to the manufacturer, who's in Winnipeg, and they think they can fix it. So we've actually shipped it out to Winnipeg, cost about $200. Right now, the curling club is renting a scraper from a club in Thunder Bay. My understanding, Club in Thunder Bay said they're happy to rent it this year, but not every year. Cost of a new scraper, approximately $15,000. Versus the one they're renting this year is $500. You know, so we had conversations with them, said, just rent it every year. That would be, you know, but, the curling club, they said, no, that's, we're doing you guys a favor right now.
Yeah.
So if the scraper isn't fixed by the company in Winnipeg, they'll look to procure one. I don't know if they would approach the township for financial assistance with it or not.
Any grants out there for something like that, Luke?
I'm sure there would be an NHFC, usually I go to, and I think that it would be involved.
So, thanks.
Refrigeration, budget to actual, 7 over budget, credit for contract switch over, recognizing Rick Ops. Budget, the seal's still there. 6% decrease, 1,600, no rate pro sealant, so AI, I think, helped us put together our budget, no? Busy, okay, thank you for the seal there. So like 7K, 4K increase in maintenance, place safety valves on the compressors. Luke, anything, besides the seal?
The safety valve, the SSA says we have to change one every 5 years. I think we have 5 or 6 altogether. And we have 3 this year. Yeah, 3 this year. 1 last year, 1 next year, like they just fall in the circle.
Okay, as far as the ice plant goes, with all the work we've done on it the last little bit, how are we looking right now? Is there something out there that's gonna fight us?
So we do still have equipment that is, and they're close to the end of life. The number one would actually be the second compressor, right? We have 2 compressors in the room.
Right.
One is like a 2017, 2018 right now. The other one's from the 70s or 80s. That would be most likely the next recommended piece of equipment to change out. Beyond that, the equipment's actually pretty new and nothing has been identified as to fail.
So as far as pipes heading to the floor, not the floor, but heading to the floor.
Correct.
We're in good shape?
Yes.
Okay.
In that room, we're in good shape. Once we move out of that room is when we run into trouble.
Again, that's what the 5-year plan is gonna highlight, right?
Right.
We know we're gonna change one of these compressors in 3 years, 3 to 5 years.
You recall when I started, there was a part we were looking for, we had 2 old compressors, we found it in the farmer's field in southern Ontario.
Exactly.
Simcoe regularly reminded us that it was the oldest compressor, recompressor in Ontario. That they were aware of, that they were working on, so, so we're doing good there. In that aspect, as Luke said, when we're in the room, we're good. As soon as we get out of that room, that's where we're in trouble. One of the reasons to pull back on the goo, if I'm not mistaken, was because it, as much as it seals the pipes, it can also clog them.
So, yeah, if we look at, so we did that Brian pipe repair last year. So we fixed that problem and we have more blockages this year. So we pulled some stuff out, and whether something tripped out or was gonna plug anyways, that's unknown. Berg has said like the goo might be working too well. Essentially, so Ringsteel Pro sells an emergency batch as well as a maintenance batch. We've been doing the maintenance batch. And that was one of the reasons they said like, you don't need it this year anyways, but we really recommend not doing it this year. Filtering some of that stuff out, letting your lines clear out a little bit. And he said like, if you do run into a problem, they do sell the emergency batch. But yeah, whether the Ringsteel Pro is causing blocked pipes, that's all I know. It could just be that they're 75 years old and stuff gets.
Rust in
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, cause they're cast, right? Those
Yeah.
pipes probably are black iron anyway, at the very least.
and the Ringsteel Pro may just be
Yeah,
accelerating that, or it may not. Without actually opening it up and looking at every single pipe, you're unknown.
mhm.
Do you run that through the current club pipes too?
Yeah, so it's all through the same
Okay.
system. The acrylic pipe club pipes are different and they're easier to access to sand floor.
Yeah.
So if you have an issue, you can just go, here's your problem, and
Yeah.
take it out.
The header trench in the curling club was replaced in 2012 or 2013, I think, so that was a big
That
job.
was a big repair.
Somewhere in the 2010s anyways, it was replaced, so.
Yeah, I remember that. Bottom line is we got about 75-year-old facility. And, you know, we're not gonna get forever, but at some point, you have to make a decision. Put a floor in or shut it down, one or the other. Let's hope we don't have to make it for a while.
Can we operate the curling club independent of the arena, or is it?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so.
Anything else on refrigeration? Moving on. Lunch is here, it's noon. Might be a good place to break.
Yeah.
We'll come back, so those online, tune back in, we'll be back, half hour,
Yeah.
That's fine.
roughly a half hour, 12:30. Well, and we're picking up where we left off, so we'll move on. Bowling alley. Budget to actual, we're 2K under budget. 1,400 higher, revenues, no maintenance expenses. 214% decrease in the budget 2024 will reduce the levy requirement by $2,000.
I mean, if we could do a 214% decrease in everything, that'd be great.
Would probably not be a roof on this building, but.
Yeah.
This is the account to print money, so. But we will see, just all joking aside, we can't sand the alleys anymore. So there will be significant upgrade required for bowling alley in the coming years. Luke, you guys are looking at everything possible to try and, mitigate the expense as much as possible, but if we want to keep the lanes open, we're gonna have to do some significant maintenance or rebuild actually, so. Luke, anything else to add?
No.
Danny, anything to point out?
Simple.
Pretty simple department, so. But getting well used again, so. Nothing else on bowling alley, let's move forward. Playgrounds, courts and trails. Budget versus actual, 18 over budget. 4 over on combined wages and benefits, 4 over on building materials, slide for Southbridge Park. Budget to budget, same budget in 2024. Luke, anything? Anything you want to highlight?
Second half signage project. We made significant cuts in the flowers this year, quite pricey. Mainly so we keep the uptown flowers. And new outdoor basketball ones, lighting for the outdoor rink.
Do we actually buy fertilizer?
Like it's tied into mulch and actual fertilizer, not really. Like it's just looped into the bottom soil and everything else.
We actually cut it out of our budget. We had some in roadways as well. We took it out. We're never gonna get there to have beautiful grass in our areas.
I don't know why it's not in here, but I just, because I duplicated it, I put it in here, the $5,000 request for the gravel for the outdoor rink and seeing community development.
Any other comments on playgrounds? Hearing none, we can move on. Cultural Center, budget to actual, 6 over budget, 6 additional boiler maintenance and 1 for roof inspection. 5% decrease, or $2,400, increase in the seniors active living center grant, or SALC, as we call it. Decrease in telephone 1,800 and maintenance costs of 1,600. Anything to highlight here?
Big thing there is we always never know what we're gonna get for the seniors grant. So we see the expense higher than we always have a budget, that's why we always see the revenue higher than we budget, we don't budget for the grant or the expense for the grant. That's what we get for actuals year to date. Budget this year going forward, they increased the amount that the fund slide shows and yeah, nothing fun that's going on here.
Council? Second digest?
The boiler controls you will see coming forward in capital.
And as we alluded to earlier, we believe the problem with propane boiler has been rectified. We will see moving forward and monitor it.
Was the decrease in hall rentals because we weren't doing as many vaccination clinics?
Correct.
We're still going on though.
Mhm.
Just less often.
Not every 2 weeks like we were.
Yeah.
doing at one point.
Yeah, that worked well in our favor, for sure.
Okay, keep going. Fiscal events, budget to actual, 13 under budget, 10 higher in grant funding and donations, 6 under on Lighthouse Festival entertainment, 5 over on household hazardous waste day. Budget to budget, 66% decrease or 37,000. Increase in revenue including the 4K grant from the East West Tie project, 7 reduction in the Lighthouse Festival, 4 reduction in Winterfest. Household hazardous waste is now moved to landfill moving forward as well.
Which is significant cost.
Roughly 11,000 or more.
Fireworks is because we never use them.
We shipped them back last year and they're holding them first because we're based on their classification, we store them definitely. So that $750 is the cost to ship them back to us for Canada Day.
Okay.
We don't have to rebuy them, just ship them to Terrace Bay.
Through my extensive work, that we got that $4,000 grant from the East West Tie project. I showed up in my office, so
I heard it was 10 grand.
yeah, they basically said, ask for how much you want, and kind of had a cap on it, so that's what we put in the request for fee, and I think he believed he said 2,000, so we doubled it, and put in the request, and they got it, and yeah,
You're 1 for 1 on that.
so far, yeah.
Questions,
Here
concerns?
is
Okay.
the breakdown of each one of our main things.
Yeah, you're gonna want to fill that one out.
Mhm.
Same here, we've been cutting down sites. I didn't realize there was no snow.
we ever looked into purchasing our own inflatables?
Those bounce out, no, but we could explore, I don't know.
It's, I feel like every festival, we bring them in. I mean, I get that they rotate the ones they
They
bring.
were different.
Different guy was trying to sell our own.
It wasn't a inflatable, it was the Zorb balls and something else. For the two Zorb balls and like the little air blaster one, I think he was asking 14,000. And I think at the time we were, cost us 2,500 to bring those in. With an unknown, I don't know how long it lasts. I didn't research it that intensely.
Probably not worthwhile. Like,
I don't know what a bounce house would cost.
I mean, you get the variety when you go with the company, they don't bring the same ones every time.
Well, yeah, the one if you buy them, you gotta store it and everything else. It become more of a headache than it's worth.
Any other questions?
Oh, no.
Okay, next. Library. Budget actual, 11K under budget, 6 under on wages and benefits, 3 under on books, and 2 under on travel and training. Budget to budget, 6% increase or 12,000, 7 increase in wages and benefits, and 4 increase in travel. Anything to highlight? Nope. You do have your library board chair here in the back, if you want to hear from him. If he has any comments.
Going once?
I just smiled, that must be a good thing. Is that travel increased because they just went to that conference? Is that? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now move on. And keep money, I'll come back. Planning and development, budget to actual, 3K over budget, ongoing subdivision planning, budget to budget, same budget in 2024. Really, we do have an outstanding amount, we should be collecting from Hydro Bay, the subdivision application, so we'll get on that. There'll be more billing there as well too, they are progressing through their project, their application, it's just a matter of getting all the ducks in a row and lining things up. Beyond that, yeah, it's, look, as I mentioned in the past, the official plan and zoning bylaw are both due for renewal in 2015, 2016 respectively. 10 years, you're with every 10 years, a lot of the official plan was completed in 2015, the zoning bylaw was completed in 2016. So we're coming up to the renewals. Questions, concerns? Move on to transportation grants, budget versus actual on budget. Budget versus budget, 76% increase or 3,400, 4K in less revenue, and 2K in higher vehicle maintenance.
The big thing here is the funding model is shrinking as we get towards the end of the year. There is money left, however, we were keeping it in our pocket to purchase the vehicle, which we've now been approved for.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look to purchase a vehicle. Doesn't really affect what's going on this year for the operation that's laid out there, but if we do proceed with the vehicle, we'll just see an increased funding amount coming through this year. And as we prepare, and I mean, as we get closer to passing the budget in April, I could look to adjust that, we'll change what the levy impact's gonna be. Or shouldn't. And then to maintain the levy that we had last year, the $7,000, we could look to increase the fares by 20%. Charging.
There's been no official announcement by the federal funders, but I feel pretty confident that a TPA will come to council for signatures pretty soon.
Luke, the funding for this program is supposed to extend to 2026 or 27?
27,
27.
I believe it was 23, then 25, now 27. Is that right then?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, some point in the future, the council may have to, if the provincial government is already funding, council will have to revisit and determine whether they're gonna keep this program going on their own. So, but as we just stated, the funding's been renewed twice, third time, so keep your fingers crossed. Again, something to note to lobby for, when we go to things like Canadian Road. Questions? Okay. On. Video adjustment, budget versus actuals on budget, budget versus budget, same budget. This was pretty basic, this committee deals with minor variance applications. So they only get their honor earning that they actually meet, it's $25 a meeting for 3 members. There's application fees, revenue, that's revenue in there for that, so you do get application fees from time to time, it can vary, year over year, I think that's budgeted for 2, if I'm not mistaken, or 3. 8 or 900, I think that's 900 for that one, so probably budgeted for 900 revenue for 3 applications roughly. Yeah, so whether or not we get the 3, it's hard to say. This one's hard to budget for because some people come, get the application, see that it's a lot, and they don't want to proceed, so. But, it was their reviews. Questions? We'll move on then. Building inspection. Budget actual, 2K under budget. Higher building permit revenue than expected. It's kind of weird with the budget for too. It's hard to say who's gonna come in. School board will come in at times with, you know, $600,000-700,000 project and you get big revenue for that project, so. Budget to budget will generate revenue in 2024. There will be a renewal of our current building inspector's contract coming to council in the near future, so. Just keep an eye out for that.
Shouldn't say permits already received, it's already confirmed. They're received.
There is actually an increase in the building officials' wages as well too, built in there. Yeah, I had one since we first contracted with in 2026, I can't remember. For a while. Unity development, budget to actual. 3 under budget. 20 additional revenue, 11 lower wages, that's a net effect. 15 under in special projects, aging in place, youth initiatives, community education. Budget to budget, 21% decrease or 65,000. Increase in reserve funding, 15 decrease in special projects, 12K decrease in mat expenses, and 7K decrease in travel. I mentioned earlier, decreased travel is a theme we're seeing throughout. That's us in preparation for the high fall for what happens with our.
There's the outdoor rink gravel. Gotta go from line by line, we'll look at the special project sheet next, but. Regular flags, banners, and feathers, money is in the country. Christmas lights, annual amount for maintenance around town. And the special project sheet lays out the tourism coordinator, cycle coach, those sorts of things. These are all obviously spread out throughout all those things. $11,000 for marketing, $12,000, $14,000 for clothes that we'll turn around and make profit on. Dollars for memberships, tourism summits, training, and other training. All ended up being $46,800 spent throughout all of those CSBC accounts.
On that account there, Dan, I saw drone training.
Yep.
Like, how are we doing with that?
So I've completed my training. This year would be for Amber to be able to take the training as well. That way, because you're supposed to have a spotter when you go out. So in this case here, I actually will have a trained spotter and will be able to do it. Amber does have a personal interest in photography, so I'm encouraging her to make use of the drone that we do have and for us to get some good shots.
Yes.
Luke, any highlights, community development overall?
I guess just quick comment on that, the energy audit. So last year we had budgeted that $20,000. And council member, we looked to apply to an energy audit grant to leverage that 20,000 into 100,000. So there has been no confirmation or like no official announcement, but I'm again very confident that a TPA will be coming through to a meeting pretty soon. So we'll look to do hopefully anyways a larger energy audit.
One thing I don't know is the 10 grand for housing needs assessment.
Yeah. That previous 8,000, 5,000 of it was childcare needs assessment. We spoke to NPI regarding like a similar study, but for housing needs. And they had said that our contribution on that would be 10,000 if we look to proceed with it. The earliest they would look to start it is April. They've onboarded like a specialist or someone who's gonna be dedicated towards housing project, just based on needs within Northern Ontario. But they won't be ready till approximately April, and it's like a 6-8 month study.
Council will recall in previous discussions on obviously one of the things that was missing for us for applying for grants was evidence assessment, which is why we're pursuing it. Keep that in mind. Any questions from council or anything specific? Again, we can revisit, but no, proceed. Beach House and Boardwalk, budget to actual, 14 under budget, 5 lower wages and benefits, 5 lower propane, 3 under on maintenance. Budget to budget, 22% decrease or 10,000. 2K in less rental revenue, 11 decrease in maintenance, 5 decrease in propane, and 3 increase in wages. Anything?
Nothing special here, we just kind of, we took in cocaine, as I mentioned earlier. The phone there, it's still paid for years prior, so. We reduced the septic pump, we kind of won't budget for that in the past, but we as much, and we installed our refill stations and purchased them there. So,
Luke, any?
No, that refill station's like a water refill station. Parks Canada purchased it for us through a micro grant 2 years ago. Last year we had budgeted, I believe it was $1,000 for the install, based on a previous, from a contractor who essentially, when it came time to do the work, wasn't interested in doing it. Anyways, our quotes now are $3,000 for an install, and yeah.
So we've been around on council, we didn't have this cost center before we were in the buildings, this is somewhat of a new department, but I think it's been around for 2 years now at least. Questions? Concerns? I believe that's it actually for all the departments, we've gone through all operating at this point. So a couple things. When we created the presentation, our original continuation of meeting number 2, where we reviewed capital, was on February 28th. And parking lot items we have today, we currently have the parking lot items. March 7th, meeting 3 if necessary, and still on task or on track to pass the budget April 15th. If that's where we end up. So I leave it to you, Mr. Mayor, wherever you want to go from here.
I know one email said March 5th, right?
Yeah,
For yourself,
this would work better for me.
yeah. So the 28th didn't work for me, 7th didn't work for Rick, so. Everybody else okay with it? Does that work for you, dear? You can do the 5th, Bert?
Yeah, I'll make it okay.
Okay, so just before we do the schedule, we'll just get your question. There is question period. Does anybody online have any questions? While we're waiting for the online, Mr. Moore, any questions from your end?
I do, got the date for the capital budget.
To be determined in a few minutes here. To be determined in a few minutes here. No questions online, going once. Going twice. And a third time, and those online are reminded, you can actually send an email to any one of your counselors or mayor or staff as well. If you have a question, you can bring it forward at the next meeting to provide a response or respond directly through email. So thank you for attending today and listening to our 2024 first budget meeting.
So the resolution we have here is moved by Counselor St. Louis, second by Counselor Johnson, resolved that the budget meetings number 2 and number 3 scheduled for February 28th and March 7th be rescheduled to March 5th. And there was 2 on there.
Was 14th originally, but
Yeah.
it's up to council what they'd like to see. Keep it the 14th. I think you've amended the thing, because that's actually a deferred resolution from the last meeting, so.
14th works for me.
So the 5th and the 14th, does that work for council?
That works for me.
Administration, specific treasury, does that work for you? Good.
Okay, 5th and 14th.
I may not be here on the 14th if it's required, but we can always reschedule on the 5th as well if we have to, but
Yeah.
just letting you know.
Okay. I'll read that again. Moved by Counselor St. Louis, second by Counselor Johnson, resolved that the budget meetings number 2 and number 3 scheduled for February 28th and March 7th be rescheduled to March 5th and March 14th, 2024 respectively. All in favor? Carried. And the next one is moved by Counselor Johnson, second by Counselor St. Louis, resolved that the next budget meeting is scheduled for March 5th at 9 a.m. in the activity room. All in favor? Okay, carried. Finally, moved by Counselor St. Louis, second by Counselor Johnson, resolved that we now adjourn at 12:58. All in favor? Okay, carried. Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.